Only recently, Joe Torre's Yankees were taking on the look of a team unable to defend its championship. Just 4 days ago, Torre's Yanks were just 6 outs away from falling into an 0-2 hole against Seattle. This just days after barely surviving a cross-country war of attrition with Oakland. This just a week and a half after ending the regular season with 7 straight losses. The Yanks looked very vulnerable, but in one inning, that all changed. In Game 2, bottom of the 8th, their backs wedged firmly up against the proverbial wall, the Yankees erupted for 7 runs. Runs, which resuscitated the team. Buoyed by that performance, the Yankees again headed west. In Game 3, Andy Pettitte was just good enough to win. And in Game 4, Roger Clemens was just short of perfect. So today, the Yankees stand, perhaps improbably, 1 win away from their 4th World Series appearance in 5 years, and a chance to update that championship sign one more time. Game 5 is next.
This is the Sun America NBC pregame show. The 2000 American League Championship Series. Today, Game 5. The New York Yankees versus the Seattle Mariners.
It's 50 degrees and cloudy for Game 5, but the roof at Safeco Field is open. The Yankees have won the first 2 games here, so the Mariners' objective is to keep New York sweepless in Seattle and force them to head home, not just to prepare for the World Series, but to play Game 6 of this series on Tuesday night. With Joe Morgan, I'm Bob Costas. Hi again and welcome to Game 5. If there's a glimmer of hope for Seattle, it's the fact that they have their Game 1 winner going again in this Game 5, Freddie Garcia.
Well, Bob, the reason Freddie Garcia was so successful in Game 1 is because he had all 3 of his pitches working, the fastball, the changeup, and his great curveball. He will need all of those pitches again in order to hold the Yankees down because they will make some adjustments to what he did the first time around. The first time he had poise, he was almost perfect. 3 base hits, 8 strikeouts. So he'll have to have that same amount of poise today because they're facing elimination.
Denny Nagel is again the Yankee pitcher. He was the loser in the opening night game of this series at Yankee Stadium, although he pitched pretty well. Meanwhile, his team has come alive between then and now.
But when the playoffs began, the Yankees looked like a team that was going to go out in the first round. They had lost 7 straight ball games. They were not hitting. They were not pitching well. Everything was in disarray. All of a sudden, they've turned everything around. Now they're hitting with power, and they have a great bullpen. They've gone from a team that looked like they were going to be eliminated to a team that's probably going to be favored to win their 3rd consecutive world title.
Now, what the Mariners are trying to do, come back from being down 3-1, is not unprecedented. It's happened 8 times in baseball's postseason history, 3 times in the LCS, 5 times in the World Series. Nonetheless, it is a big hill to climb. Alex Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners is with our Jim Gray to talk about it.
Only 3 teams have come back from a 3-1 deficit in LCS history. Alex, you have a shirt that says, "We are on a mission, sir." Is this mission possible?
I think so. I think we have to take it 1 game at a time right now, Jim, and really focus on the small picture of it today, and that's Danny Nagel and the New York Yankees. And I think the only way it's possible is if we take it 1 game at a time and focus on today.
Now the possibility exists, and I'm wondering if you've thought about it, of this being your last day as a Seattle Mariner.
Well, those thoughts definitely go through your mind. I'm sure it's going to be emotional out there for me. But try to put that behind me and focus on winning a ball game.
All right, Alex, best of luck today.
Thank you.
All right, let's send it across the way with Jimmy Roberts. He's in the Yankee dugout with Joe Torre.
Joe, I would imagine you feel pretty comfortable right now, up 3-1, but you are facing Freddie Garcia, a pitcher who last time you saw him absolutely dominated you. What do you have to do to this guy to get through to him?
Well, Jimmy, first of all, we shouldn't be too comfortable. And that's the first thing. Hopefully we're a different team than the first time he faced us. I mean, not to take anything away from the effort and the ability he has, but I'd like to believe we're a little more confident offensively, and I'd like to see us make him work a little bit, because he's stingy. He likes to stay down. He changes speeds a great deal. Hopefully we can get a lead.
If you do go on to win this series, will there be one thing that you look back on as a turning point?
Oh, wow, that's really tough. I mean, to me, if we happen to win today or win this series, I go back to that plane ride from New York to Oakland after losing Game 4. That was the longest ride of my life, and I think a lot of our players felt the same way. And we realized we weren't going to make that trip for nothing, and we really became a determined group there.
All right, Joe Torre, thanks for stopping by. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, Bob, back up to you.
Jimmy, thanks very much. It's Garcia against Nagel. We're back with the lineups and the first pitch of Game 5 after these messages and a word from your local station.
This has been the Sun America NBC pregame show. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
Jim Gray back in Seattle as we get ready for the start of Game 5. About an hour ago, they decided to open up the roof, and it's a pretty complicated system that they have here at Safeco. There's an awful lot going on. 60 feet a minute, takes about 10 minutes, 28 million pounds on 128 wheels, 96 motors, and now they have the field open. So, guys, it's a little bit cold, and it is weather and rain dependent. And you know, right now it's 50 degrees. The wind is blowing at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. That makes it about 46 degrees. So, got my finger right here on the button, guys. I'm a little hesitant to push it. I'll let you guys decide. Should I hit it or not, Bob?
You know, Jim, the very thought of you with your hand on a button of any kind, of any consequence, has me quaking. Here's the MasterCard starting lineup for the New York Yankees, and it's a familiar one.
And last time, Garcia was able to handle Justice, Williams, Martinez, all the left-handed hitters very well. I expect them to make some adjustments tonight, so he's going to have to be a little sharper than he was even in Game 1. And let's take a look at the defense. McLemore's back in the lineup at second base, and he has 2 errors in this series. But he's also a guy that I think needs to be playing today because he's a veteran player, and they need a little more stability in their lineup today.
Freddie Garcia turned 24 about a week ago. He's from Caracas, Venezuela. If you saw him on the bench the first couple of games at Safeco, when it was not as chilly, either Friday night or late Saturday afternoon as it is today, he was bundled up as if he were someplace in Alaska. You have to believe he's not comfortable pitching in cold weather.
But we heard Joe Torre say that he wanted his team to make Garcia work. What he meant by that is try to get him to throw a lot of pitches. But that only works if Garcia's not throwing strikes. If he throws first pitch strikes, you have no choice but to start swinging. And that's what he did in Yankee Stadium.
A second pitch strike makes it 1-1 to Knobloch, who again is the DH at the top of the order. And as you see, he's hit well in this series. 2-1. Plate umpires Jerry Davis. The crew chief John Hirschbeck at first. Angel Hernandez at second. Fielding Culbreth at third. On the right field line, Mark Hirschbeck. Left field line, Wally Bell. And the 2-1 pitch is a fastball bounced foul. I asked Joe Torre before the game, what happens if the Yankees make the World Series and they're without the DH in games 3, 4, and 5 in the National League Park? What does he do with Knobloch? Joe didn't hesitate. He said in that case, Knobloch plays second base.
And, Bob, that could be difficult for Knobloch and the Yankees because he hasn't played second base in so long, and all of a sudden you're going to put him out there in the field. That could be a tough assignment. Change up.
Garcia gets Knobloch to start the game. A moment ago, you got to look at Luis Sojo, who has been playing second base with Knobloch DHing.
We saw Knobloch strike out in the first inning yesterday against Abbott on this exact same pitch, a changeup. He seems to have problems with the changeup. He hits the fastball pretty well, but he chases the changeup here again, and that's the second time he struck out to lead off the ballgame. But again, the changeup is very important to Garcia to go along with his fastball curveball.
Here's Jeter,
who homered in Game 2 in New York and Game 4 yesterday here in Seattle.
Now, Garcia can win the ball game with 2 pitches, meaning if he just has his fastball and his curve or his fastball and his changeup, he can still win the ball game. But to be able to dominate the Yankee hitters, he has to have all 3 pitches.
That fastball will get into the mid-90s. A called strike, 1-1. A year ago, Garcia went 17-8. This year, he spent a stretch on the disabled list with a fractured right tibia, so that limited his decisions, and he went 9-5. 1-2.
And right away, you can see the Yankees are still off balance, but I expect them to make adjustments as the game goes along. You see Jeter way out in front. You saw Knobloch way out in front of Garcia's changeups and his curveball. And you have to be alive because he has such a good fastball, so you can't sit on the curveball or the changeup.
Fastball just off the inside edge.
Perfect pitch after throwing him the curveball, and he was out in front. This is watch the catcher's glove. Let's see where he goes. Well, he tries to frame it. That tells you that the ball was off the plate inside, and he pulled it back.
And the 2-2 pitch is fisted into center field, and it drops for a hit.
That's why Derek Jeter's had 200 or more hits the last 3 years. He is able to fight pitches off when he gets deep into the hole. Now he's behind 2 strikes. He just fights this ball off. See that? He just pushes it into center field. He didn't rotate, didn't try to pull it, just pushed it off him, and he got enough of it to get it to center field for a base hit. See, look at that swing. That's not a real swing, but that's what he does. He's able to fight off good pitches, and that's why he hits so well.
Which brings up Justice, who had a cannon shot of a home run to dead center late in yesterday's Game 4 that broke the game open, made it 5-0. He had 41 home runs for the year between Cleveland and New York. Ball one outside.
And we'll take notice to how Garcia pitches each of these hitters the first time around. He got Justice out primarily with his changeup. He got Bernie Williams out primarily with a breaking ball. He got Paul O'Neill out with his fastball. So we'll see how he goes through the lineup.
Jeter skips back, stole 22 bases during the regular season. Garcia got stronger as the season progressed. He went 5-1 in September. No decision in the division series against the White Sox, and a fine performance for a Game 1 win against the Yanks in the LCS. 2-0.
And when he falls behind a hitter like Justice, this becomes a very difficult pitch to throw. Do you try to throw him the changeup, or do you challenge him with the fastball? And they definitely do not want to challenge Justice very often with the fastball.
The 2-0 pitch. Cuts and misses. Actually tipped back into Wilson's glove. You may wonder why Wilson is catching instead of Oliver, given the fact that Wilson has had a devil of a time trying to hit in the postseason, not just this year, but throughout his career. Oliver strained something in his right leg trying to beat out a hit in Game 3, and he isn't 100%. They did use him late in yesterday's Game 4 after they pinch hit for Wilson. But Piniella feels he's not up to catching 9 innings, so Wilson gets the call. There goes Jeter on the 2-1 pitch. A check swing bouncer toward McLemore, who throws Justice out. Jeter at second with 2 down.
And one of the reasons that you see Joe Torre putting runners in motion, he wants to try to take away the changeup from Freddie Garcia. Because if a guy's put a lot of runners in motion, the guy has to throw a lot of fastballs to try to give his catcher a chance. But he still comes with the changeup, and Justice tries to check his swing, but is not able to. Justice was looking for a fastball there, and he threw him a changeup. So still, if you're Garcia, you have to pitch your game. Even if they run, no matter what they do, you have to continue to use your changeup.
What about from a catcher's perspective?
Well, the catcher's going to want to call fastballs.
Right.
Get the ball as quickly as possible, but you're the pitcher. You have to say, I have to get the hitter.
And very often a veteran catcher will be aware of that and sacrifice his own situation
Not be so concerned with avoiding embarrassment for himself, but more concerned with helping his pitcher through the game.
And that's the catcher's job, truthfully. And we saw the first pitch there to Bernie Williams. He started him with a curveball, and that's how he got him out the first time around in game 1.
Down and away, 2-0. Tino Martinez would be next. The big game was game 3. When he had the home run his first time up off Aaron Seeley on a 3-0 pitch. But he's contributed something in every game. In fact, in game 2, he got what may be the biggest single hit of this series. The Yankees were struggling, trailing 1-0 in the 8th inning. He whacked a 3-2 pitch to center for a base hit that brought home justice to tie the game. 2-1 the count.
And you see, again, he uses a little changeup down, and that's a very positive response there when he got behind Bernie Williams. You can see him choke the changeup, and Bernie swings over the top of it. He's out in front of it as well. He wants to throw Bernie a lot of off-speed pitches, mainly the curveball.
Jeter leads away from second with 2 out of the top of the first, and the 2-1 pitch is bounced toward Rodriguez. From behind the bag, he pegs to Olerud to retire Williams and end the top half of the first. Denny Nagel to work for the Yanks when we come back. Here's the MasterCard starting lineup for the Mariners. Obviously more right-handed bats in there against Nagel. And Cameron moves up from 6th to 2nd. So important for Henderson and Cameron to do something ahead of Rodriguez and Martinez to give them a shot.
And they're trying something new today. They did not take batting practice today. Lou Piniella told them not to hit. And you see what the Yankees have done in the postseason. I mean, they have played great defense, but that's been the constant they've had from the beginning of the postseason. But now they've added their offense and the pitching as well. And I think today, if you're the Mariners, you have to get the lead. You have to get off to a good start. If you fall behind today, it's going to be very difficult for you to pick it up. So I think the fact that they didn't take batting practice, I like that because it lets you relax, takes a little bit of the pressure off.
Yeah, Piniella told them not to hit before the game. He's praying they hit during the game. They're at 183 for the series. They've scored 5 runs in 4 games and managed only 1 hit yesterday against an overpowering Roger Clemens. You would have thought it was the Rocket of age 28 rather than 38. Now Nagel against Henderson. As you saw, Nagel was 15-9 for the year, but only 7-7 as a Yankee. He was 8-2 with the Reds before the deal that brought him to the American League. His 1-0 to Ricky is taken for a strike. Down the stretch, Nagel had all kinds of difficulties. He lost his last 3 decisions. His ERA in those 3 outings was over 15. Well, take it back to his last 4 decisions, and it's almost as bad.
Well, that makes it under 15 because he only gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 his last outing.
When he started game 1, he had thrown only 2 innings in the previous 2 weeks, and Joe Torre thinks that's why he may have struggled with his control in the early innings of the game. Now he's pitching in the regular rotation, and Torre at least hopes that he'll be sharper at the outset of game 5. Ahead of Henderson, 1-2.
Well, Ricky has been on base a couple of times in the series. He has not been able to put any pressure on the Yankees on the base pass, and a lot of that comes from the fact that he wasn't able to read Nagel well in game 1.
He'll have no chance to run here. He'll only have a chance to spend more time with his mates on the bench. He's caught looking.
Well, this looks like a little backdoor breaking ball, a little slider maybe. See, it starts outside and it just cuts over the outside corner. Ricky thought it was going to stay away, but it moves back over the outside corner, and he's called out. Well, they really need Mike Cameron to do something. Cameron has not been able to handle the good fastball from Pettit or from the Rocket, but most people couldn't handle Rocket last night, so that's not a problem. But he needs to start swinging the bat well, getting the barrel of the bat out front.
In the 7th inning yesterday against Clemens, the only chance the Mariners had, there was a walk following the Martin double, and Cameron batted as the tying run at the plate with 2 out and 2 on, and he took a called third strike on a 3-2 pitch on the outside corner.
Truthfully, in yesterday's ball game with Rocket, he was just overmatched. He could not handle Rocket's high fastball, nor could he handle the great splitter that he was throwing. So it was a tough afternoon, for Cameron against a guy like Roger Clemens when he's on.
Yesterday we were talking about hitters' inability to lay off that diving split finger. The fan watching at home, fouled away 2-1. On the center field camera, says to him or herself, gee, it's almost in the dirt. Why swing at it? But you made an interesting point talking with Lou Piniella in the clubhouse before today's game about how most of the modern hitters are low ball hitters,
right,
and that affects the effectiveness of a guy who throws a splitter.
That's why the splitter and the changeup has become so important, because most of the hitters today are low ball hitters because they're lifting. They're having uppercut in their swing, trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. So what they do is they see the splitter start above the knees, and they say, this is a pitch I can drive. Now all of a sudden the bottom falls out about 3/4 of the way to the plate, and it's no longer in the strike zone, but they are committed already. Now watch him. See, in the past you didn't get underneath a low pitch. See, now the hitters, because they have a slight uppercut trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, they have a slight uppercut in their swing, so they're able to get under low pitches, but that also forces them to chase low pitches in the dirt.
The 2-2 to Cameron, and the count runs full.
And Rocket last night was exceptional, though, Bob. He was throwing that splitter at 90 miles an hour. You didn't have a lot of time to think.
Here's the payoff, and we'll do it all over again. The perfect game by Don Larson in the '56 World Series remains the only no-hitter in baseball's postseason history. What Clemens did in Game 4 was the 7th one-hitter ever, 3 of them in the last year. Kevin Millwood pitched one for Atlanta in the division series against Houston in October of '99. Just a week ago, Bobby Jones did it to the Giants for the Mets. And then the Rockets' great performance last night. Cameron draws a 1-out walk. Roger Clemens set a tone in Game 4 in the bottom of the first against the hitter who's coming up now, Alex Rodriguez. Rodriguez had a good history against Clemens, had hit him well. Roger buzzed him twice, then walked him. After that, he struck him out twice in succession and then retired him on a ground ball to Derek Jeter for the game's last out.
There's no doubt Rodriguez was upset with Clemens when he buzzed him a couple of times, but you have to forget about that, and Roger wouldn't let him forget about it. He threw great pitches yesterday. It was very little he could do.
A-Rod had a Game 1 homer off Nagel at Yankee Stadium, a tremendous shot that might have made the left field upper deck, which is seldom done at Yankee Stadium, but for the fact that it hit the screen attached to the foul pole. That home run, though, is the only RBI A-Rod has in this series.
I really believe that even though Nagel is left-handed, the Mariners are going to have to do something. You have to be aggressive. You're going to have to try to steal a base, hit and run. You have to do something. Because the one thing you can't do is just play the Yankees straight up, because the Yankees are hitting and you're not. So what you have to do is try to offset that by putting runners in motion, just doing a few things, even bunting sometimes, hitting and running. You have to change your tactics in order to match what the Yankees are doing.
The 2-0 pitch. Outside 3-0. Edgar Martinez will be next.
I'm a little surprised at how they're playing A-Rod. Luis Sojo is almost up the middle of the diamond. What that tells you, they want to throw a lot of off-speed pitches to A-Rod and even pitch him inside. But, I mean, look where Sojo is. Normally, you don't play Rodriguez that much to pull.
He could have a green light on 3-0. We'll never know. It was way outside. So Nagel got Henderson looking to start the game. Then he walks Cameron and Rodriguez back to back.
Well, this is in contrast to what the Rocket did. Everything is away from Rodriguez. All 4 pitches off the plate outside.
Edgar Martinez hasn't hit in this series yet. When you've been as consistent as Edgar has been through a 12-year career, a .320 lifetime hitter, the law of averages eventually comes around in your favor. The question is, how many more chances will he get with his team trailing 3-1?
And I really do not believe that Nagel has a pitch that he can throw consistently to get Martinez out. By that I mean he can't just throw a lot of fastballs and move it around. He can't just throw some changeups. He can't throw a lot of curveballs. He has to mix all of his speeds and his location.
Good speed on the bases, Cameron and Rodriguez. Foul back 1-1. Martinez, who drove in 145 to lead the league, in an RBI spot here in the first.
That's a pitch there that Martinez usually hits pretty well, and he fouled it back. He has had some pretty good swings at pitches, but he's fouling them back where he normally puts them in play. And I still think his elbow is still bothering him a little bit. His left elbow, which is his front elbow, he gets extension with that. Well, you see that he has dropped off from the division series, but I think a lot of that has to do with the Yankee pitching. They've pitched him tough, and I still believe that his elbow is bothering him just a little bit. Your front elbow gets you the extension. It keeps the bat on the plane that you want it on, and that's bothering Edgar a little bit right now.
Nagel's 2-1 pitch. Hit hard but foul. Of course, in your case, Joe, it was the back elbow that was so important. Get that flap action going, right?
Yeah, break their concentration.
Well, the comment Joe Torre made before the game, a hopeful comment, turns out not to be the case. He thought Nagel would not struggle with his control in the first inning because he was pitching on his normal rest. Just as he did in Game 1, Nagel has walked 2 in the first.
But this is a big start for Nagel. Every start is big because he doesn't have a contract for next year.
The 2-2 pitch. Full count. Do you run them?
I would, yes. And it's much easier to take off from second base on a left-hander than it is a right-hander because they have a slower motion and it's tougher than to pick up the shortstop who would normally be trying to cover on the pickoff. And you have a lot of speed at second base and at first base. This is a perfect hit-and-run situation. And especially for a team that has been struggling.
Nagel from the set. The runners go, and the bases are loaded on 3 straight walks.
Well, this pitch is not close. It's a changeup. You can see him gripping it tight. You can see that he had his whole hand around the ball. That means that he's throwing a changeup, and he missed by a foot, so it wasn't even close.
Billy Connors, the acting pitching coach, to the mound. We've mentioned about Mel Stottlemyre watching from home in New Jersey. He recently underwent stem cell transplants, part of the treatment for bone marrow cancer. They say he's responding very well. They're even hopeful that he could be back on the bench for home games only. He wouldn't travel, but for home games only if the Yankees make it as far as the World Series. Stottlemyre must really have some emotions going through him, not just with his team being back in contention to make it to the series, but he grew up in the state of Washington, near Yakima, has a home in Issaquah now, so if he were with the team, he'd be back home for these games against the Mariners. Olerud, the only left-handed hitter in the Mariners starting lineup. Bases loaded, 1 out. And he drives one to right. Coming on is O'Neill. Tagging is Cameron. O'Neill pegs to the plate. Martinez lets it come through, but it's not in time. And Seattle has the lead.
Well, that's the speed speed of Cameron allowing him to score easily on the ball, hit the shallow right field by Olerud. And the one thing Lou Piniella said, he wanted his hitters to be aggressive. Well, at least Olerud was aggressive in this at-bat. He attacks the first pitch, even though it looks like it may have been inside a little bit. But he was very aggressive, and he put the ball in play. Of course, you would have liked to have gotten the hit, but it's very important for them to get the lead early, which they have done. O'Neill has a strong arm in right field, but sometimes it takes him a little longer to get rid of the ball than it should.
Jay Buhner has 3 at-bats in his career against Nagel. Base hits in all 3. Ripped foul. Even though he hit it pretty hard, he cracked his bat in the process. Buhner had 26 home runs this year. He's hitless in this series. Two on, 2 out, a run home in the first. 0-2.
Great changeup from Nagel. And the thing that makes the changeup effective is you have the same arm speed with your changeup that you have with your fastball. And you can see there's no change of motion. And Buhner thinks it's a fastball, and you can see he's way out in front. And he has all this pine tar on the side of his hip. That's how he keeps his bat sticky when he's at the plate. Right there, look at that. That's a lot of pine tar. Freddie Belitnikoff kind of stuff. Only he used Stickum.
The 0-2 misses outside. The problem for Buhner would be if he tries to get up off the bench and finds himself stuck.
And the Mariners cannot just be satisfied that they have scored here in the first. You have to continue to tack on as you go along. And they had a couple of opportunities against Andy Pettitte in the first game here, and they left so many runners early. You can't do that against a good team like the Yankees.
2-2. Rodriguez at second. Edgar Martinez away from first. And Buhner steps back in with a count of 2-2. Sun trying to poke through at Safeco Field. And the 2-2 pitch. Another full count.
One of the things that Nagel is allowing these right-handed hitters to do, and that is to lean over the plate on him. Every pitch he has thrown just about in clutch situations has been away. And the hitters will start to look out there and lean out there if you do not force them to play straight up.
There they go, and here it comes. And it's popped back out of play.
And he did that. He tried to get in on Buhner there. That's a good pitch. You need to keep these right-handed hitters honest, because every pitch you're missing a foot off the plate outside. Now watch, he comes inside with this fastball. Good call there by Posada. He wanted it in even more than that, but at least he was trying to get the ball in.
With the runners going, the 3-2 pitch, and he got him. So Nagel walked 3, allowed a run on a sac fly by Olerud, and it's 1-0 M's after 1.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by the makers of Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot. By Valvoline Max Life, the first motor oil formulated for higher mileage engines. By Sun America, the retirement specialist. And by Chevrolet. If only everything was as dependable as a Chevy, Chevy will be there.
The atmosphere has brightened at Safeco Field for a couple of reasons. The sun is peeking through, and the Mariners are on the board first, leading 1-0 as we go to the second.
Martinez, Posada, and O'Neill against Garcia. Tino had his postseason hitting streak of 8 consecutive games stopped with an 0 for 4 in Game 4.
And Bob, anytime you're facing an elimination game, it's always important for you to score first.
Fouled away. As I remember it, your Cincinnati Reds were down 3-1 in 72 in the World Series against Oakland. You rallied to force a 7th game, but then the A's won it at Riverfront.
Yeah, Pete Rose stayed at third base when I hit the ball in the corner.
Joe, it's 28 years ago.
You think I've forgotten?
Let it go.
No, I can't.
A long drive down the right field line, but it's foul. I asked Tim McCarver once if he's ever forgotten the 3-1 advantage that a great Cardinal team in 1968 let slip away against Detroit. It would have been back-to-back championships for them, and in the crazy Game 7, Lolich beat Gibson and Kurt Flood misjudged the fly ball in center field. I said, how often do you think about that? Tim said, every day.
I'm not quite that bad, but I think about it quite often. There are certain times, certain games you just never forget. I mean, you can remember the pitch count, you can remember the pitch, you can remember everything about certain games.
Garcia's 2-2 pitch to Tino Martinez. Hit sharply to McLemore. Juggles it, but has time to recover. And gets him at first. McLemore has had a couple of misplays already in this series and was benched for Game 4.
Well, you see the curveball again being very effective. There's a curveball with 2 balls and 2 strikes. That's not an attack swing by Martinez. If he can throw the curveball in those situations, he gets more of a defensive swing. And you can see he let the ball get to him. He didn't catch it out in front of him. You have to catch the ball in front. You let the ball get to you or behind you, so to speak, and you're going to miss a lot of them. So you have to catch the ball out in front if you're an infielder.
Here's Posada, big regular season, silent in the playoffs, 0-77 in this series, 1 for 13. You know, talking about remembering specific situations, there's that great story that Billy Crystal tells about bumping into Ted Williams, and Billy was remembering being a little kid going to Yankee Stadium, seeing a doubleheader between the Yanks and the Red Sox. And Billy says, you know, I was 7 or 8 years old, and I remember Whitey Ford in the second game struck you out in a clutch situation. And Williams, without hesitating, said, curveball, low and away.
Yeah. You do not forget big moments in your career, whether you were successful or whether you were, you know, defeated with a great pitch.
In there, 1-2. Garcia has a lot of poise for a 24-year-old kid in just his second year in the major leagues. You could sense it in Game 1 at Yankee Stadium. He has no margin for error with his team down 3-1 here. And he seems to be very composed on the mound.
The one thing I've said in the past about the players today, the thing that I admire most about the young players is that they have no fear. They feel like they are veterans, and if they're in the big leagues, they feel like they're supposed to be successful.
Weak roller, right side, Olerud, Garcia covers. So Posada, who became the regular catcher and stopped dividing duty when Joe Girardi was let go. Girardi wound up with the Cubs. Posada, who had big numbers during the regular season and made the All-Star team, has not hit yet in the playoffs. Paul O'Neill with 2 out and nobody on. What was the mood on the Cincinnati club that was down 3-1? Or weren't you on a Philadelphia team that played the Orioles in the World Series in '83, right, and you did lose it in 5 games, so you came into Game 5 down 3-1. Can you remember the mood?
Yeah, and at home, too, we felt like if we could win that game, we would win the series. I know it sounds strange, but if we would have won that game, now you have Steve Carlson pitching the next game. Then you had John Denny, who was a Cy Young Award winner. We had great matchups after that. We just couldn't get past that 5th game.
They better get serious about the LCS before they can think about the World Series. Hit to the hole, base hit for Paul O'Neill.
O'Neill really was starting to swing the bat much better. Yesterday he didn't get any base hits, but you see he gets the barrel of the bat out there and he hits the ball in front. He was hitting the ball behind the plate before. That's why he was getting jammed and fighting balls off to left field. You have to get the barrel of the bat out there if you're a left-handed hitter with using a 34-ounce, 35-ounce bat. And he's starting to swing the bat much better now.
So here's Soho hitting .250 in this series. O'Neill's hit was the Yankees' second. Jeter had a single back in the first. Amtrak running on schedule. Well, that's the Burlington Northern there. Amtrak running alongside of it, actually, on parallel tracks. Two and 0.
The one thing they tried to do to Soho is stay down, and you see these two pitches are both mitched down. But in game one, he kept the ball down. Soho still was able to get base hits. Although he was just slapping the ball around, but that's the way he plays.
There goes O'Neill on the 2-0 pitch, and it's bounced through the vacated hole. O'Neill to third. Soho with a huge turnaround first because Olerud had gone to the middle of the diamond for a possible cutoff. First and third, 2 out. That's a clinic right there.
Yeah, but I actually wonder why Rodriguez is covering. The count is 2 balls and no strikes. You see Rodriguez goes to cover. That means the hitter's in charge. So why are you covering, in that situation? I just wonder. I mean, I guess they may have said this before the series started, that anytime there's a hit and run with Soho, we're going to have the shortstop cover.
I was going to say, because Soho has so often hit the ball to the right side in recent games.
But not when he's ahead in the count.
Or maybe,
you hear me?
Listen to Mazzilli here.
Go, okay? Get a good lead, man.
He said if he can get a jump, go. Maybe this was just a happy coincidence for the Yankees.
Well,
maybe it just looks like a perfectly executed play that just turned out that way by luck. A strike to Brocious.
I always believe, because I always gave the signal of who covered the bag, if a hitter is ahead in the count 2-0, then I would go to his side. That's his strength, meaning he was probably going to pull the ball. If he was behind in the count or even on a hit and run situation, then you go the other way. Looks like he crossed Dan Wilson up there. He just kind of stabbed at that ball, or it had more movement than he anticipated. Watch him, he kind of stabs at this ball. It's not he doesn't receive it the normal way. Watch this. He just kind of stabbed at it.
A pair of 2-out singles have given the Yankees a threat here in the second. 2 balls and a strike to Brocious.
And you have to be alive, because I think Joe Torre wants to run these, put the base runners in motion to try to make him throw more fastballs to keep away from those breaking balls. So he's thrown Brocious 2 breaking balls here, and he doesn't want to throw Brocious a fastball unless he gets it away. So this is a big pitch here.
And it's popped into shallow right, down the line, sprinting over McLemore on the foul ground to make a nice running catch. Couple of hits, but the Yankees strand 2.
Let's show you how Denny Nagel needs to pitch. He was throwing a lot of pitches to Buhner off the plate outside. Buhner was leaning out there, so he took them for balls. Then he comes inside with a fastball. Now he goes back out there, and he'll swing at the pitches that he was taking before, because he had to look inside and play it up honest inside. He couldn't look out there. So the inside pitch is going to be something he has to use more of. That was the first time he came inside against a right-handed hitter this entire ballgame, but he has to keep them honest.
Bottom of the order in the bottom of the second. Bell, Wilson, and McLemore. Seattle leading it 1-0. Hit through the box, base hit.
For right-handed hitters to have success against left-handed pitching, especially a guy like Nagel, you have to hit the ball back through the middle and the other way. Because if you try to pull the ball, that's just a routine ground ball and shortstop. So you have to make sure you do not try to pull the ball.
This could very well be a sacrifice situation with Wilson at the plate.
And your personal whipping boy?
Well, no.
I'm just kidding.
Dan Wilson's been a good catcher and a good player, but he has really struggled in the postseason.
And I think you're right. I think this should be a situation where you try to bunt. I mean, you need another run. You try to pick up runs each inning as you go along.
He doesn't square, and he takes the ball. He's an uncommonly good bunter for a catcher. He had 11 sacrifices this year. But look at that in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. No, I was just kidding. I mean, it's the fact. I mean, he hasn't hit well. And guess what? I've been there before, so I know the situation. But I do think that this is a situation where if you're playing the Yankees, you try to get a run here, a run there. You try to keep building on your lead. Or you can hit and run, but you need to do something.
Bell takes off. Wilson tries to go the opposite way and fouls it.
Now, see, I like that. At least you're doing something. You're trying to be aggressive. Now I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the bunt.
Larry Boa, the coach at third. John Moses on the lines at first. There he is talking with David Bell. Quick throw.
Nice move. He almost got him. That's a nice move there by Nagel. The runner's always moving off as the pitcher goes up into a stretch. Watch. He's bringing his arms up. Now he separates him, steps off. He doesn't give him the normal leg kick to throw over there. And he gets the ball over there very quick. You have to have a real strong arm to do this. A lot of pitchers can't make that play.
Nearly got him. Bell's not a base stealer. Only swiped 2 and was caught 3 times in 5 attempts for the year. Another foul down the right field line, and he was going again.
So you see, Lou Piniella is trying to do something. But one thing you have to do when you're a hitter and the hit and run is put on, you have to get the ball on the ground. You do not hit the ball in the air. Hit it on the ground. Even if you miss your hole, you'll at least move the runner up 1 base, and that's what you're really trying to accomplish. But when you hit the ball in the air, you have no chance. So you have to make sure you stay on top of the ball.
Here's the 1-2. A drive to deep center. Bernie Williams turning, going back, not quite to the track, right at the edge of the track to take it. Bell tags it first and sprints for second.
Good play by Bell. He saw right away that the ball wasn't going out, and he knew that Bernie would make the catch, so he got back, and he was there in plenty of time, didn't have to cheat. And this is a fastball away. He gets a good piece of it, but he gets under it. And it's a fly ball to center field. We thought last night when Jeter hit his ball like this, it was just going to be a fly ball to center field, and it went over the center field wall. But Bernie goes back, makes the catch, and you see a very alert David Bell back tagging up, and he sprints down to second base and gets there easily.
So it works the same as a bunt. He's in scoring position with 1 out. That's the best swing Wilson has put on a ball in a while. Here's McLemore. The Mariners have already had more runners aboard against Nagel in an inning plus than they did in the entire game against Clemens. But that performance was in a category of its own. We asked Torrey about it before the game. He said it had him thinking Gibson, Koufax, people like that. And of course Clemens belongs in that conversation, a member of baseball's all-century team.
And he made another good point. He says when you're throwing as Roger, you forget about the scouting reports. You do not have to try to pitch to a hitter's weakness. They have to try to attack you.
Only Kevin Brown, who struck out 16 a few years ago in a division series game for the Padres against the Astros, and Bob Gibson, who struck out 17 Tigers in Game 1 of the World Series in '68, have had more Ks in a postseason game than Clemens 15. It gets confusing with the division series and the LCS, and the World Series belongs in its own category, and Gibson stands alone, and Koufax had 15 in Game 1 of the '63 series against the Yankees. But 15 is a heck of a number in a big game.
And truthfully, one base hit is an even bigger number.
Especially since that hit was the only ball hit hard in the entire game. And as it was, Tino Martinez got a glove on it.
And very rarely does that happen, Bob, where you only hit one ball hard, and that one ball that's hit hard becomes the only base hit of the ball game.
One on, one out, and the 1-1 pitch. McLemore couldn't check. 1-2.
Even when a pitcher throws a no-hitter, there's usually a couple of balls hit hard, but they're hit right at someone or someone makes a great play. Last night they only had one ball that they had to make a play on, and the ball was just off the edge of Martinez's glove.
The 1-2 pitch, way outside. Just finishing up on the subject of postseason strikeouts. One of the more remarkable performances was Mike Mussina's when he struck out 15 a few years ago for the Orioles against the Indians. That was an extra inning game, but Mussina pitched only the first 7 innings. So he struck out 15 of a possible 21 outs.
And that was a good hitting team, too.
Yeah, those Indians. Terrifying lineup. The 2-2. Full count to McLemore.
But you do see Denny Nagel coming inside a little bit more on the right-handed hitters. And not a good ratio of balls to strikes.
Nagel hasn't won in a month. His best outing in that span was actually his Game 1 loss when he pitched 5 2/3 against the Mariners and gave up 2 runs. His 3-2 pitch. Cut on and missed, and McLemore sits down. The 3rd strikeout for Nagel. He's also walked 3.
And the last 2 strikeouts have come with runners in scoring position on bad pitches. This is not a strike. You see it's well below the knees, but McLemore swings, and he doesn't make contact. And the same with Jay Buhner, had the similar situation. He chased the pitch out of the strike zone. The one thing they have to remember, just because the count goes to 3-2, Nagel will still try to make a pitch. He's not going to give in to you because he can't. He can't throw a fastball down the middle and expect you to pop it up.
Henderson started the game by taking a called 3rd strike. Outside for ball 1. Ricky will be 42 on Christmas Day, as we've mentioned earlier in the series. He hopes to play at least one more year and move into first place all time in runs scored and walks. He's already, of course, the all-time leader in steals by more than 400 over the previous record holder, the great Lou Brock.
And he needs one more year to get 86 hits for 3,000 base hits, which would be quite an accomplishment. But I'm watching Ricky, and they're able to get the ball in on him now, and they were not able to do that before because he's always had a pretty short swing, but now he's not handling the fastball or the hard stuff inside as he did before, but that's just normal.
Ripped foul, and the count goes to 1-2. When Henderson broke Brock's record for steals, Lou was in the ballpark to congratulate him. In the other categories, he's chasing ghosts. He could pass Ty Cobb for #1 in runs scored, and Babe Ruth, if he plays even a week or 2 next year, he's only a couple of walks behind Ruth for the all-time leadership in that category.
Well, that looks like first ballot Hall of Fame material there. And 2,914 hits. at this point.
Nagel's 1-2 pitch to Ricky is popped up to the right side. Backpedaling is Martinez. And he'll take it. Bell led off with a single, got as far as second base. The M's strand him. It's still a 1-0 game after 2. On a cloudy October day in the Pacific Northwest, that's Mount Rainier out in the distance. Lights have been on from the outset at Safeco Field. The sun peeped through briefly. But it's overcast now as Knobloch leads off the third. He started the game by striking out against Garcia. Jeter and Justice will follow him.
The one thing that Mariners have tried to do with Knobloch is throw fastball strikes early in the count. And if they get the 2 strikes, then they go to the off-speed pitches.
And it hit him.
This didn't appear to be a fastball, but I guess it was. It seemed like maybe it was a changeup, and he just turns and takes it in the back.
Shortstop number 2, Derek Jeter.
Targets inside corner and just turns and takes it in the back.
Knobloch has always been hit by a lot of pitches. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but there are guys, and Knobloch is one of them, who in certain situations, on certain pitches, are willing to make a less than full effort to get out of the way or even lean into a pitch to get on base.
Fernando Vina being one.
Mm-hmm. Ron Hunt.
Ron Hunt even wore a pad on his back so he could turn in and take them.
Yeah, did it on purpose. Got hit 50 times in a season one year. Don Baylor crowded the plate, big strong guy. Just stick his forearm out, take it like it was nothing. Go down to first base.
They're going to have to hold Knobloch because...
Tap foul. Jim Gray has a note to pass along. Jimmy?
Well, Bob, in between innings, Lou Piniella came over to Freddie Garcia and then came over and told me what he said. He said, you've got to get to the plate much quicker with people who are on the base paths who can run. You're being way too deliberate. You're giving them too much of an opportunity. You've got to guard against it and be much quicker to the plate. Bob?
Jim, thanks a lot.
And I agree with that because that's what he does when he goes out to talk to Sasaki. Use the slide step or do not use the slide step. I think Garcia has to work a little harder at holding runners at first base.
Foul ball off his foot that has Jeter hopping around a little bit. Of course, when Piniella talks to Garcia, he can communicate in either English or Spanish. Lou is fluent in both. When he talks to Sasaki, it's kind of a comical scene, and Sasaki, through the interpreter, explains, when Lou comes out to talk to me, he speaks so fast, I can't really pick up his English. But when A-Rod joins the conference on the mound, it's not that A-Rod can speak any Japanese any more than Piniella can, but A-Rod speaks very slowly, and I can sort of understand. The 0-2 pitch coming to Jeter. And it's in the dirt, blocked by Wilson. The words that Piniella, in one language or another, wants to speak to Sasaki for the first time since game 1 is, get your butt in here. He hasn't been able to use his closer since game 1. Knobloch away from first with nobody out, hit by a pitch to start the inning. And he dives back. Just to back up what we were saying, Knobloch was hit by pitches 8 times this year, 21 times in 1999. So there are some guys who actually make it part of their approach. If you're willing to take the bumps and bruises. Two and two.
One thing Garcia has done is he's made a conscious effort to get the ball to the plate quicker. So he's not kicking his leg as high. And there's a sinking fastball just below the knees. Well, Lou is also talking to us in our meeting today about how they let hitters take close pitches 2-2.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
That's a good curveball. He starts Jeter off with a good curveball, and he works all the way through the count to finish him with a good curveball. Another curveball. This fastball just missed. Now he comes with a curveball again. No, that's a fastball. Thought it was a curveball. Fastball away. Got Jeter.
Second strikeout for Garcia. Now here's Justice, who grounded out his first time up. Ball one high and away. McLemore has Justice played toward the middle as a huge hole on the right side.
This is too big a hole. You have to move in like this so you can still get to second base. But you can't give that much of a hole to a hitter like Justice because the first baseman is holding Knobloch, so that hole over there, you can just hit a weak ground ball through there.
Justice has hit a lot of balls in recent games to center field and to left center. Nonetheless, they're playing him as if he can't pull Garcia at all. Buhner is well off the line in right field, too.
Well, not only that, they're trying to pitch him away. I understand that with a sinker, but he's also throwing him changeups. That's the way they're trying to get him out, sinking fastballs away and then throwing him changeups. And I just think you give up too big a hole over there because the second baseman, all he has to do is come in a little bit toward home plate, just come in a little bit this way, and then he can move a little bit toward the hole, so it gives him a chance to cover the hole a little bit better.
.20 pitch is popped up a mile high. When it comes down, either Rodriguez or McLemore will take it, and A-Rod makes the play. And folks, you can go in depth on every game of baseball's postseason by logging on to MSNBCSports.com. There's complete LCS coverage, including special interactive outlooks analyzing each series. Plus, listen in after every game for audio interviews with key players from each team. All at MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports.
That was interesting. They pitched him away, and then they threw him a fastball in. And they got away with it because maybe Justice was looking away.
So Knobloch at first with 2 down now. And Bernie Williams takes a strike.
To see the difference in Garcia's approach, now he went to the high leg kick there to make that pitch, whereas he's been using more of a medium slide step, not a complete slide step, but he's not kicking his leg as high to try to hold Knobloch at first base. And Knobloch used to be an excellent base stealer.
Swiped 61 year as a Minnesota Twin or something near that.
Here's Garcia's. This is his normal kick. He may kick a little higher at other times, but that wasn't a slide step or a variation there. That was just his normal delivery. And maybe he is just thinking that I have 2 outs, I have to concentrate on the hitter now and not worry about the base runner.
Well, he's still concerned about Knobloch.
So it's okay to throw over there like that because he's just saying, I'm just going to let Knobloch know that I realize he's still there. Now you start all over again and just concentrate completely on the hitter.
Knobloch's stolen base high came 3 years ago. He stole 62 in 1997. He's never approached it since, 31-28, and then this year, his playing time was limited a bit by his defensive difficulties, 15 steals.
You see that the base stealers are successful 12 out of 14 times against him.
Outside and low, 2-1.
Seattle leads it 1-0. Yankees batting top of the third. If you're just joining us, Joe Torre told us before the game that if the Yankees make the World Series, Knobloch will DH in the American League Park at Yankee Stadium. Games 3, 4, and 5 at either Shea or Busch Stadium in St. Louis. He'll roll the dice and start him at second base. But he won't take him out of the lineup.
I think that, again, that would be difficult for both the team and difficult for Knobloch, because Jeter would be used to playing with Soho by now as a double play partner. Then all of a sudden Knobloch comes back, and the point is that puts a lot of pressure on Knobloch if he doesn't already have pressure with his poor throwing habits.
Torre's going to have another interesting decision, again, if the Yankees make the World Series, and depending upon how the rotation spins out. If he uses Roger Clemens in game 3, 4, or 5, especially if the opponent is the Mets, that means Clemens has to bat, and there's a history there. Knobloch loves to go a pitch out, and he's staying at first. There's a history there with Clemens and Piazza. If Clemens ever has to stand in at the plate against the Mets, given the kind of manager Bobby Valentine is, given the history, there could be some fireworks at Shea Stadium.
True. That was a tough time to pitch out, although I do think that Knobloch was going. He slipped. He was trying to go. But to pitch out against Bernie Williams 2-1, now you give him a 3-1 pitch coming.
Now Knobloch's going. Bouncer to McLemore. Rodriguez was the guy covering in the middle of the diamond. McLemore has the easy play. He throws Williams out. And we go to the bottom of the third with Seattle still leading it 1-0. On to the bottom of the third at Safeco, Cameron, Rodriguez, and Edgar Martinez for Seattle. Mike Cameron came close to catching Derek Jeter's home run in yesterday's Game 4. He didn't get back to the wall quickly enough to brace himself and get off his maximum leap. Lou Piniella told us before the game that Cameron, who's 6'2", can dunk a basketball easily. He has great leaping ability. But the ball fooled him a bit off Jeter's bat. He started in, and he was racing back and had to jump on the run, which prevented him from possibly making the play.
Not only could he dunk, Bob, he said he could do it in street clothes.
Yeah, street clothes.
And regular shoes.
Yep. The Mariners had some kind of clinic at a school. He went in the gym and just dunked in street clothes, regular shoes. Here it is. He's going back. So, as you see, he jumps way short of the wall. If he's back at the wall and braces himself for the leap, he probably makes that play because he's done it several times this year. In on his fists, he pops it back, and it's out of Posada's reach. There are a number of great defensive center fielders, many of them spectacular around the wall. The man that Cameron succeeded in center field, Ken Griffey Jr., is one of them, now in Cincinnati. Andrew Jones of the Braves is already regarded as one of the great defensive center fielders in the game's history. Jim Edmonds makes one eye-popping play after another in St. Louis. Kenny Lofton has his moments still with the Indians. So Cameron isn't at the head of the list because there are too many superstars there, but he's pretty darn good with the glove. And the 1-2 pitch from Nagel. Down and away.
So far in this ballgame, Nagel does not seem to be able to find his rhythm there. And when I say rhythm, you get into a rhythm of throwing strikes. You get into a rhythm of finding the outside corner against these right-handed hitters. When there's so many right-handed hitters in a row, you normally get in a groove of finding one spot out there, and you can stay there.
In the air to center, Bernie Williams going back. There's a good glove man in his own right. He's won 3 gold gloves, and he takes it at the edge of the track.
Number 3, Alcs Rodriguez.
One center fielder retires another. And now Alcs Rodriguez is the hitter and the subject of the SAP player profile. A lot of people will tell you, all things considered, his age, the position he plays, his disposition, the numbers he's put up,
that you're looking right here at the best, or at least the most valuable non-pitcher in all of baseball. If you were starting a team and had to pick a non-pitcher, a lot of people would go with A-Rod.
He also plays what I consider to be the toughest position to play on the diamond. Shortstop is the toughest position because you have to have a lot of different things you do on the diamond. You have to go to your left, you go to your right, you have to have a strong arm, you have to be able to field the ground ball. A lot of the other positions, third base, you can knock it down and throw them out. Second base, knock it down, throw them out. Shortstop, you have to catch the ball cleanly most of the time or you're not going to be able to make the play. You have to be a great athlete to play shortstop the proper way. And you can get away with it playing average shortstop, but the great shortstops are all great athletes.
Two of the finest here today, of course, A-Rod and Jeter. Check swing foul. You played with a great shortstop in Concepcion.
Correct.
And the guy many regard as the greatest catcher, Johnny Bench. In terms of being demanding physically, catcher has to be the toughest spot, right?
Catcher is definitely the toughest spot, but it doesn't demand as much as, say, a shortstop does. You don't have to have range to be a catcher. You know, a lot of things you can get away with.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Ball one.
And because he has stayed away from Rodriguez, Rodriguez is looking out there, and therefore he knows where the outside edge is, so he doesn't have to worry about it. He knows that's off the edge.
2-2. Rodriguez has always been a mature young player. When he first came to the big leagues, he had such composure and presence. As an 18-year-old, money can't buy you love. That's a reference to his free agent status. He's going to get a lot of money no matter where he goes or stays. But he's in a position to choose whatever situation he wants. And there will be suitors. The Mets have been mentioned, the Braves, the Dodgers. Full count. Anyway, when he came up as an 18-year-old, he encountered Goose Gossage, then at the end of his career, 40-plus, sidled up to him before a game and said, "You nervous, kid?" But at the same time, A-Rod has always been very respectful. Of members of the media, of established players. He sought their advice and counsel. Guys like Cal Ripken, when he first broke in, not just how you should play the game, but how should I carry myself? How should I handle specific situations? I've always been very, very impressed by Alex Rodriguez in all respects. Nagel strikes him out.
Change up away off the plate. You can see that all the pitches that he takes here, everything's away. Everything. I mean, he's just pitching them away. That's even away. And he takes that one. I was surprised that he went out and swung at the 3-2 pitch because it was such a bad pitch. So that's way off the plate. And he can't even reach it, but he was fooled by the motion from Denny Nagel.
That's the 7th time A-Rod has struck out in this series.
A lot of them have been on bad pitches, Bob, so he's a little anxious maybe, but he swung at several bad pitches. One other thing I want to add about A-Rod, he has a mind of his own. He thinks for himself. This decision will not be made by his agent or someplace else. He will make the decision. And that's what I admire about him, because I've talked to him about the decision. He will make the decision.
Up and in, a ball and a strike to Edgar Martinez. A very un-Edgar-like performance so far in this LCS, especially considering the fact that he's always hit Yankee pitching well. Fouled away 1-2. He personally destroyed them in the division series in 1995. Of course, there's been a lot of roster change since then. Plenty of turnover.
He is just fouling pitches back that he normally hits, and I believe it's because of his elbow bothering him. He has a sore elbow, and he's just not quite the Edgar that we're used to seeing when he's healthy.
2-2.
And the one thing the Mariners can't do, is obviously they're trying, but you cannot just sit on this one-run lead and hope that's going to be enough to beat the Yankees, because at some point in the ballgame they will have some shots at Garcia.
Outside, full count.
Pinella's team, despite the slim lead here in Game 5, has scored only 6 runs in this series and has a team batting average of under 200. Martinez rolls it toward Jeter. Derek up with it, flips it off balance to Martinez in time to retire the other Martinez. And we're back after these messages and a word from your local station. Seattle takes a 1-0 lead to the 4th. Freddie Garcia at this point has thrown 9 2/3 innings in this series. His Game 1 victory and 3 innings so far today. And he's unscored upon by the Yanks. He struck out 10 in 9 2/3.
I don't think he's quite as sharp as he was in Yankee Stadium, Bob, but he still has 3 pitches working for him. You know, the good fastball, the curveball, and the change.
A ball to Tino Martinez starting into the 4th, followed by Posada and O'Neill. As we've mentioned a couple of times before, this is a rarity among the many new ballparks that have sprung up around baseball in recent years, in that it's a pitcher's park. Probably Safeco and the new ballpark in Detroit, Comerica, are the only 2 new parks that don't favor the hitters. Two and one. There were 155 fewer runs scored by the Mariners and the opposition in Seattle games here as opposed to their road games. That's a 17% drop-off. Seattle's staff ERA was 3.8 at home and 5.2 on the road. A dramatic difference. The dimensions are pretty much standard, fairly deep in the gaps. 388 left center, 385 right center, 405 straight away. Tino with a shot to right center. Cameron cuts it off near the track. Martinez is going to try to stretch it, and he is in there.
Beautiful slide by Martinez. A-Rod went out to get the ball, trying to get a little quicker to make the dive, but he wasn't able to do so. A great slide by Martinez. He slid to the inside and away from the tag. It's a good play by Cameron. This is a long fly ball that drops out there. And Cameron turns and fires, and he makes a pretty good throw. Now watch, A-Rod goes out to get it. Now he tries to come back and get Martinez. You can see he slid well to the inside and no chance for A-Rod to get him. Look at this slide. A-Rod has the ball. If he slides straight in, he has a shot at him. But he slides away from him, and you can see clearly there that A-Rod misses him, and now he puts his hand on the back. Great slide.
Now Posada. Ball 1. Sometimes being a good base runner isn't only a matter of speed. Good base running play here by Martinez. Great slide.
Yeah, if he slides straight in, A-Rod would have been able to tag him. Now watch, he angles way out to avoid the tag and grabs it with his hand.
Posada fouls it off, 1-1. He's just 1 for 14 in this series. Hit .287 for the year with 28 home runs.
Important at bat because it's up to him to pull the ball and make sure that he advances Martinez over to third base, or at least hit a deep enough fly ball.
And Garcia's trying to work him away to prevent that from happening.
There you see they're playing him pretty much straight away. This is interesting. I mean, they're almost dead straight away in center field, dead straight away in right and left. So truthfully, he has some gaps in both right center and left center.
The 2-1 pitch. Fouled away.
One thing that you normally do defensively in a big ballpark like here in Colorado, you try to take away the gaps because that's where triples are, and you just try to stay away you try to play deeper and take the gaps away, so you'd move your fielders over just a little bit more and pitch to the middle of the ballpark, which is what the Mariners try to do anyway. They try to keep the ball in the middle of the ballpark, but they're playing straight away, which still opens up the gaps a little bit here.
Martinez at second with nobody out. Even though he's not terribly speedy, should Posada dump one in front of Henderson, expect him to test Ricky's arm even with nobody out. And there it is. Henderson coming on, can't get to it, but in this case, Posada with the base hit, and Martinez had to wait between second and third. He wasn't certain, so that wasn't a situation where what I just said could be put to the test, because he waited between second and third to be sure that it would drop.
Well, normally you try to pull the ball up until 2 strikes, but when you get 2 strikes, you just try to get a base hit and drive him in, and that's why he goes the other way. When you have 2 strikes on, you just try to drive him in, don't try to pull the ball to the right side. And it was a good pitch. You have to give Garcia credit for making a good pitch, and you give Posada credit for getting a base hit on it.
At this point, though, common knowledge, just about every team is going to run on Ricky Henderson any chance they get. Yankees looking to tie it at least. First and third, nobody out, and ball 1 to Paul O'Neill. The Mariner infield is looking for the double play. They'll concede the run on a ground ball. 2-0.
And this is a good idea for Wilson to go out and talk to him. What they did in New York is they really threw a lot of fastballs to Paul O'Neill. His bat was a little slower then, and they felt like he couldn't catch up with the fastball. Well, he's overthrown these 2 fastballs that he tried to throw to O'Neill here. One was up and in, the other was up and away. So he's going to tell him, you have to stay back and just give me your normal fastball, and hope that's good enough. Because if you overthrow it, you're not going to get it in the strike zone.
Hitter's pitch coming to O'Neill. First and third, nobody out. 2-0 the count. 3-0. Soho on deck, and then Brocious.
Well, he's trying to avoid making a, middle of the plate pitch to O'Neill, but when you do that and you load the bases, you really get yourself in trouble. And expect O'Neill to have the green light here if this pitch is to his liking. Torrey likes to let his hitters hit, as we saw with Bernie Williams hit a 3-0 pitch for a home run. He will let Paul O'Neill and these veteran hitters swing 3-0 because he knows they're going to get a good pitch.
Ball 4, bases loaded, nobody out.
Well, he wanted to get Paul O'Neill early in the count with a fastball, and he overthrows this high fastball in. Then he overthrows this one away, up and away. And that's the problem. Then after he fell behind, he just threw everything away, and O'Neill didn't bite.
Brian Price, the pitching coach, out there along with Wilson, the catcher, and half of the infield to talk with Garcia.
Now you're in a big jam now, where the Yankees can explode for a lot of runs, and that's what you wanted to avoid.
Nobody up throwing right now in the Seattle bullpen.
And that's surprising to me as well. You cannot afford to let the Yankees, explode here. Garcia's thrown the ball well, Norm, and he's been pretty good against the Yankees. But he is not as sharp today as he was the first game. And so you can't expect to go with him as long as you did in the first game if he's not sharp on this when you're in an elimination position.
He works to Soho, who swings at the first one, drives it to the left center field. It's in there for at least 2 RBIs. Soho on his way to second with a double. 2-run score. O'Neill pulls up at third. It's 2-1 New York.
Well, we mentioned the fact that they had constantly tried to keep the ball down on Soho. And what does he do? First pitch, fastball up. You cannot throw the pitches up to Soho. You see how level he is and how he stays on top of the ball. That's a guy that can hit the high pitch. If you do not have a little uppercut in your swing, you cannot hit the low pitch. So if you have the high pitch and he hits it, he's going to hit a line drive because that's the way that he swings.
Ball 1 to Brocious. Martinez led off with a double. Posada dumped a single into left. Arthur Rhodes now throwing in the Seattle pen. O'Neill walked on 4 pitches. Then Soho whacked the first pitch into left center for a double and a 2-1 New York lead. Brocious pops it up. Bell just inside the bag, and that's the first out.
And the Mariners are playing the infield halfway. They realize that they cannot afford to just give up runs to get out of the inning. They're playing halfway so that they can come to the plate. And that's the risk that you have to take. Well, now Rodriguez is backing up, which means that maybe they're going to walk Knobloch.
To face Jeter?
Well, yeah, but you get a chance to get the double play and get out of the inning. But they're not going to. And they've moved back. They were playing halfway with Brocious. Now they're all the way back. They're going to concede the run on a ground ball to one of the infielders, other than third and maybe first.
Strike 1 to Knobloch. The Yankees have finally broken through against Freddie Garcia. Shut them out with relief help in Game 1. Had a 1-0 lead into the 4th here in Game 5 before Soho's bases loaded double. 0-2.
And Bob, you mentioned the fact that I asked if they were going to walk him to get to Jeter. You do not like to do that, but sometimes you have to plan your strategy, and it doesn't matter who's hitting. And the only way they could get out of this with one swing is to have a double play situation.
Garcia needs the strikeout. Ball and 2 strikes.
Well, he's been able to strike him out a couple of times with the changeup, but I don't know if that's a good pitch to throw in this situation because Knobloch's also a guy that puts the ball in play, and that's all he's going to try to do here. That sinking fastball there was a good pitch, but he just missed with. And he also has the good curveball. Now they come halfway in on the infield. And that's because there are 2 strikes on Knobloch, and they feel like he's just going to try to put the ball in play. He's not going to try to drive it. Early in the count, you try to drive the ball. Now with 2 strikes, they figure he's just going to put the ball in play. That gives him a better chance of being able to field anything hit on the infield.
Can someone who hasn't played baseball professionally understand how close you are? Not necessarily here where they're halfway, but when you're all the way in,
right,
and a big, strong hitter is at the plate.
No.
When you came in at second base and Willie Stargell was at bat, you had to feel like you were taking your life in your hands.
Well,
Willie McCovey?
Well, you were. I mean, there was no doubt.
Another 1-2 pitch. Wilson blocked it. No advance. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Knobloch.
And Wilson is excellent at blocking balls in the dirt. In fact, he's one of the better catchers in baseball at that. And watch, this pitch is down. They're trying to get Knobloch to chase that pitch out of the strike zone, which is what he has done in a couple of cases when they have been able to strike him out. So they tried it again, but too low. And now they want to go to the mound. I think they want to, in the conference, try to decide exactly what they want to do here with Knobloch. Do they want to go try to throw a curveball? They haven't thrown him a curveball. Do they want to try to throw him one? whether they want to continue to try to throw the sinker or a changeup down. I mean, you want to have, and I think this is good. You have 4 opinions here, and you settle on what you want to do and go do it. There are times that you have to deviate from the scouting report in order to get a hitter out. Because on that particular day, you may not have your best fastball or your best curveball. As I mentioned, he wasn't as sharp as he was earlier.
Knobloch struck out swinging in the first, hit by a pitch in the third. Garcia's 2-2 offering. Did he go around? Yeah, he got him. A big strikeout when he really needed it.
That was a great pitch. They decided to go with that changeup down and in again. Now this ball, watch how this ball tails off the plate inside. Knobloch out in front, can't stop it. Beautiful pitch. And watch, it goes down and in, and Knobloch can't stop it. No doubt it's off the plate, but he had committed and could not hold back. But he's still not out of the jam because he has to face Jeter. Now he wants to talk to Wilson again and decide exactly how they want to attack Jeter, because Jeter doesn't give you a chance to set him up. He swings at the first pitch that he thinks he can hit. He does not give you an opportunity to set him up for a changeup inside or a slider away. He's a first pitch hitter, and it doesn't always matter where it's a fastball or not. He just likes to hack at the first pitch.
Jeter is singled and struck out. He swings on the first one and rolls it foul.
He does that all the time, and he wants to swing.
A base hit here would be huge, turning a 2-1 lead in all likelihood into a 4-1 advantage against a Mariner team that has scored 1 run and has had 3 hits in its last 16 turns at bat. A chopper to short. Rodriguez guns his good buddy out. The Yankees score 2 and leave 2 and take a 2-1 lead to the bottom of the 4th.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by NBCI.com. One site with everything you need. By American Airlines, giving you more room throughout coach. And by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers.
In the top of the 4th, Freddie Garcia had already surrendered the lead, and he was still in deep, deep trouble. Second and third, nobody out. He got Brocious to pop out. He fanned Knobloch. And then Jeter bounces to Rodriguez at short. So Garcia was able to keep it close. His team trails by only 1 as they bat in the 4th.
And Bob, we've always said that the mark of a good pitcher is his damage control. Being able to get out of big jams and hold the damage to a minimum, and that's exactly what he did right there.
Here's Olerud, who had a sac fly in the first. With 1 out, Nagel walked Cameron, Rodriguez, and Martinez in succession. Olerud lined the first pitch at O'Neill in right, and Cameron was able to tag and score from third. This one is in the air to deep right center. Back goes Williams, back to the track, to the wall with a leap, and a fantastic catch. Well, we were talking about his counterpart, Cameron, and his acrobatic catches at the wall. Williams provides one of his own.
Well, this ball is high enough that it allows Williams the opportunity to get back there. I thought Olerud got enough of it to get it out. Williams goes back, and he times his leap perfectly, and look at that.
There were 3 gloves there. 2 of them belong to fans, but the one who really knows how to use it is Bernie Williams.
Well, they're lucky that there's a gap there, because the fans would not let him reach in there and catch it if they could have reached it. Now watch, there is a gap behind this. You see him time his leap perfectly. The fans can't reach it.
Now Buhner pokes one into center that drops in front of Bernie for a 1-out single.
One more look. It's clearly above the yellow line. It was gone, and Williams brought it back.
Well, the fan's glove may appear to be in the screen, but it's not. There's like a 6 or 8 foot gap between the stands and the fence, so the fans could not reach out to get it. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have interfered. The fans are not up against the wall is the point. There's a big gap between there. And Alex Rodriguez and the hitters are hoping there's an even bigger gap next year because they hope that they bring the fences in a little bit more.
Bell had a sharp single through the middle his first time up. Nagel gets ahead of him 0-2. Well, if that's what it took to retain A-Rod, if the deal was in place apart from that, I'd move the fences in, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Bell stays alive. Rodriguez hit 41 home runs this year during the regular season. Only 13 of them at Safeco, 28 on the road.
And normally guys who are sluggers hit more home runs at their home ballpark because they're more comfortable in the surroundings and they see the ball better. And so that's why, you know, you're usually more successful at home.
Inside 1-2. Some of this has to be coincidental. I'm sure it wouldn't play out exactly this way year after year, but Rodriguez had 81 RBIs on the road and just 51 at home. That's a huge disparity. Bell slices one toward the seats down the right field side, and Martinez with a good effort, but it's in the first row.
Bob, there's one thing that people should understand about the Rodriguez situation. If A-Rod leaves, it's more devastating than when Randy Johnson left and Ken Griffey left because they were traded. And they got Garcia, who's pitching today. They got Halama, and they got Guillen for Randy Johnson. And then for Ken Griffey, they got Mike Cameron, Brett Tomko, and some minor leaguers. So they acquired something in return. If A-Rod leaves, they only get one draft choice, and that's the big problem.
A slow roller, charging it is Soho. Buhner will move up, and there's the second out. Jim Gray has more on the Rodriguez situation. Jim?
Well, I spoke to Pat Gillick. He's the general manager, and he went through all three of the big decisions they're going to make. He said Edgar Martinez will be done first. They have an option on Edgar, and that'll be done in just a few days because that's all the days that are left. He expects there won't be a problem and believes that Edgar wants to return and play next season. As for Lou Piniella, he feels that'll be resolved in 7 to 14 days. He feels that Lou will have some other offers, but eventually he feels very optimistic that Lou will return. Now, as for Rodriguez, Gillick says that he knows that Rodriguez wants to explore the free agent market. He says after he's gone out and spoken to everybody, he will remain in touch. He says we want him, we will pay him. He said, I'm not optimistic, I'm not pessimistic, I'm very hopeful. I think that when it all falls out, we should have a very good chance. Bob?
Well, the one thing they should think about also is whether Lou will want to stay if A-Rod leaves. So maybe they're not going to be able to decide on Lou Piniella quicker than they decide on whether A-Rod's going to stay. I'm sure that those two decisions, you know, Lou's decision is going to be affected by what happens with A-Rod.
A lot of dominoes could fall before this is all sorted out. 0-2 to Dan Wilson. In a spot where just the third postseason hit of his career and more than 50 at-bats could tie the game. Oh, for his last 38 in the playoffs. Man, that hurts. He hit the ball well his first time up, a drive to deep center that was caught near the warning track by Bernie Williams. One and two. Got a look at A-Rod on the bench a moment ago. Another reason why it would hurt more
than the departures of Johnson and Griffey. Not just that he'd leave as a free agent rather than being traded, with the Mariners getting something of value in return. He's only 25 years old. He's got 10, 12 big years ahead of him, barring injury. Hall of Fame type years. The 2-2. Bouncing ball. Brocious takes it, throws him out. If ever a man was due, it was Dan Wilson, but he remains overdue, and the game remains 2-1 New York because of this fabulous catch by Williams to rob Olerud at the start of the fourth. The Yankees send up the heart of the order in the fifth, Justice Williams Martinez. David's 0 for 2. He's grounded out and popped out against Garcia.
This is a very important inning for Garcia because he's going to have to reestablish his superiority over the Yankee hitters. But again, as I said at the beginning, it just doesn't look like he has as good a stuff as he had in the first game. But he still has good enough stuff that he can pitch a good ball game.
A ball and a strike.
So that's a curveball for a strike, but it's not quite as sharp as the curveball that he was throwing in New York. But again, it's still a good curveball. He had a great curveball in New York. He had a great changeup and a great fastball. Everything today is just a notch below what it was in New York.
A little squibber toward Bell. And he takes care of Justice.
But the thing that he does have is toughness, and you can see that. He's still a mentally tough pitcher, and that may be the most important part of this.
When the Yankees had already scored 2 and had runners at second and third with nobody out in the fourth, Arthur Rhodes was throwing in the Seattle bullpen. He has sat down, and there's no one working right now.
But I think you're in a situation, if you're Lou Piniella, you cannot let Garcia pitch out of another jam. Even though he may have the capabilities to do so, you can't risk it. If he gets in a jam again, you have to go to your bullpen. It's old saying, you do not want to die with a lot of bullets left in your gun there. I mean, and they've got Arthur Rhodes, they got Sasaki, they have Paniagua down there. You have to use all those people to prolong the series. And it doesn't do you any good to save them.
A drive to right center field, well hit. Cameron on the run with Buhner, and this ball short hops the wall. Williams on his way for a double in there with 1 out.
This looks like a little breaking ball, pretty good breaking ball. Actually, Williams just stays down and he throws the barrel. This is why I say most hitters are low ball hitters now. When you hit pitches like that and get them in the air, that ball is almost going to hit the ground. When you can get underneath, that means you have a slight uppercut in your swing, and he drives it in the right center field. Normally, if you're not a low ball hitter, you hit a ground ball to second base on that pitch because it's going down, and you hit the top half of the ball.
Not only was it down, it was away.
Not true. It was a good pitch. Like I said, they're hitting some good pitches today. But you knew that. You knew they were going to make some adjustments. This is a veteran team. They adjust to what you did to them the first time around.
Ball 1 to Tino Martinez, who grounded out in the second and doubled to start the 2-run Yankee fourth. Williams away from second with 1 out here in the fifth. And that one's in there, 1-1. Garcia hasn't had a 1-2-3 inning. The Yankees have scored twice. They've left 6 already in 4 innings. Williams at second with 1 out in the fifth. So you're right, even though they have scored only twice against him, he's had nothing like the mastery that he showed in game 1. Rodriguez throws Martinez out at first with Williams holding second, now with 2 out. And coming up on NBC.
Wednesday, Law & Order returns with a new season and a new DA.
I'd like to hang their heads on our wall.
Law & Order premieres NBC Wednesday.
I'm going to hang their heads on our wall. This is a woman who means business.
Tough.
Here's Posada, who had a little bloop single to left as part of the 2-run Yankee fourth. Jose Paniagua not throwing yet, loosening up prior to warming up. Two and 0 the count. If the Mariners can rally and force a Game 6, it's Tuesday night at Yankee Stadium. John Halama would pitch for them. He was very effective in Game 2, 6 shutout innings. And Orlando Hernandez, already established as one of the finest postseason pitchers in baseball history. There's El Duque. He would start Game 6 if there is one for New York. 3-0 to Posada.
And if you're the Mariners, you have to look at it like the Yankees beat us 3 in a row. We won the first game. They won 3 in a row. Why can't we go back and win 3 in a row? That's the way you have to look at it, and that's the approach you have to take. But you have to stop the bleeding first. If you can win this one ball game, it changes a lot of things.
And Posada draws a walk, giving O'Neill an RBI chance.
Well, you can tell that Garcia doesn't feel that he has the same great stuff he had the first time, because whenever he gets behind, he becomes very careful today. In Game 1, when he got behind, he said, I'm going to turn the fastball loose, my good fastball loose, and see if you can hit it. He's not doing that today. He fell behind Posada there. He threw a couple of pitches in the dirt. Then he ended up throwing the fastball away. And he did the exact same thing to Paul O'Neill, his last at bat. When he fell behind him, he wouldn't give in. So that tells you he doesn't feel that he has the same fastball today that he had opening day in New York in Game 1.
And his first one to O'Neill is up and in.
Well, he still believes that he can get the fastball by O'Neill up, or not necessarily by him, but get him out up. But then he overthrows it. He tries to throw too hard. So he didn't throw pitches up there against Posada because he didn't feel that he could get him out up there. But he feels that he can get O'Neill out, but every time he overthrows him. He starts him off fastball up and in.
Now it's 2-0. Soho, who had the bases loaded double as last time, is waiting on deck. These teams have played each other 14 times this year, regular and postseason combined. Another trip to the mound by the pitching coach Brian Price. They have split those 14 games. Paniagua throwing now. The difference is, though, the Yankees have won the last 3. And that more recent history is the more important fact.
But that's why I say if you win today, you stop the bleeding, so to speak. You stop it, and that changes your whole attitude and your approach. And they do know that they can win a ball game in Yankee Stadium. They did it opening day of this series.
And they won 4 of the 6, regular and postseason combined, that the teams played in the Bronx. Well aware that any one pitch could just about end his season, the way his team is not hitting. The depth and quality of the Yankee bullpen as the game moves toward the middle and then the late innings. Any one pitch here could just about finish him. 3-0. He's thrown 7 straight balls now.
Well, he's gotten behind O'Neill both times, and he just tried to stay away from him. But O'Neill will be swinging again in this situation. In Game 1, he left him in, but that was the first game of the series. Now you're at game 5. You can't afford to take any chances.
O'Neal could be swinging on 3-0. He is. But he bounces it harmlessly to Rodriguez, who shovels it to McLemore, and Garcia and the M's are out of the jam. To the bottom of the 5th. Still 2-1 New York.
And just because you get the opportunity to swing 3-0 doesn't mean you have to swing and you have to get a pitch you can drive. Look at this pitch to Paul O'Neal. He hits it right off the end of the bat. It's a fastball tailing away. He has to go across the plate just to hit it. This looks more like a defensive swing than a swing when you're ahead in the count. He hits this ball right off the end of the bat, and the Mariners escape again.
So the Yankees have the 2-1 lead. But through 5 turns at bat, they've left 8 men on base now.
And Seattle is not swinging the bats well, but guess what? You keep leaving them in the ball game. You keep giving them an opportunity to stay in the game, and they are the home team. Something can happen. They've only had 2 base hits, but you have to try to put them away if you're the Yankees.
McLemore tries to drop one down. Charging it is Brocious, who can't handle it, and a bunt single leading off the 5th.
Very smart play there by Mark McLemore. And guess what? It would be a very smart play for Ricky Henderson to try to drop one down as well. This is perfectly executed, although it goes in the air, but it's not hard enough that Brocious can get to it. Neither can Nagel. He tries to barehand it. He wouldn't have been able to get him even if he comes up with it. That was a good bunt there by McLemore. Well, you see, Brocious comes way in on Ricky, and rightfully so, because Ricky can try to drop one down and beat it out. Even if he doesn't beat it out, he would still move the runner into scoring position. And there you see Brocious in tight.
Ricky is struck out, popped out. Appears to be swinging away, and he takes a ball.
Now, Brocious has actually moved back a little bit. I mean, look where Brocious is playing. He was in on the grass. Now he's playing back behind the bag at third base. I still think this is an opportunity where Ricky could take advantage of him with his speed and just drop one down. But maybe,
inside, 2-0.
Maybe he doesn't have to make that decision as Nagel misses with the first 2 pitches.
Jeff Nelson up in the New York bullpen. In there, 2-1.
And when they throw him the fastball, they're going to throw him inside because he has not showed them that he can handle the fastball on the inside part of the plate. And Brocious moves back a little bit more. If you're not swinging the bat well, you can do little things to help score runs.
Off the outside corner, 3 balls and a strike.
And if you're Lou Piniella, do you send McLemore here? I would say no, but he may do it. You automatically send him 3-2.
Cameron is on deck. And after Cameron, the big guns, Alex Rodriguez, Edgar Martinez. Quick throw. McLemore dives back in.
I mean, Brocious is back way behind the bag now. See how deep he is? So he doesn't believe Ricky will bunt.
And probably not, with a 3-ball, 1-strike count. He walked him. A bunt single and a walk put runners at first and second with nobody out.
And this is basically the Seattle rally that you have now. A bunt single and a walk. As you see Nagel fastball in. He knows that he can get him out with the fastball inside if he can get it there, but he keeps missing. Then he throws a changeup away. and they misses with the high fastball. Now, Larry Boyd has come down to talk to Mike Cameron. You have to think that he's going to try to sacrifice. Let's face it, you're down to your last 15 outs. You have to do something here. And Larry Boyd talked to him about it, and as Billy Connors goes to the mound.
3 straight right-handed hitters, starting with Cameron until they get to Olerud. Nelson hasn't been throwing long. That's Tony Cloninger, former Red and Brave. Outstanding pitcher in his own right, who's the bullpen coach. Zimmer along with Torrey.
And I think Tony Cloninger is going to make somebody a great pitching coach one of these days. Now, the difficulty here, if you're trying to bunt, is that Nagel's left-handed. So if he goes to the line and gets it, it's an easy throw for him to throw to third base. So if you bunt, you might want to bunt to first base or force Brocious to make the fielder bunt. And that was just to see if Cameron was going to give away the bunt situation. You step off just to see if he's going to let you know if he's bunting or not.
The noisiest it's been so far today at Safeco. Cameron squares, pulls back, takes ball 1. They've got a number of rallying cries in Seattle as they've made their run to the playoffs and through the division series against the White Sox. Unleash the mojo, some of the signs say. Who let the dogs out?
But they were the first one to use that, who let the dogs out, here in Seattle.
Cameron looking to bunt. It almost hit him.
And that's tough not to bunt that pitch. When the ball comes and you see it's there, you usually bunt it defensively rather than get out of the way. Good job here by Cameron. You see him square around. Now he just takes the bat back and gets out of the way. In a lot of situations here, you would go ahead and hit and run or do something with a hitter, but Cameron has not been swinging the bat that well. I think you should be committed to getting those runners to second and third.
Brocious and Martinez still in on the grass. Cameron bunts it to the right side toward the first baseman. Martinez took a quick look at third, had no play there. Goes to Soho covering first. Successful sacrifice by Cameron. Second and third, 1 out.
And that was a smart play because if you bunt it down the third baseline, you do not bunt it hard enough to make the third baseman feel that the left-handed pitcher will be able to make an easy throw. So what does he do? He deadens the ball toward Martinez. This was something that was done by design. And because Martinez has to charge it, he doesn't have a chance to throw to third base. Here it is, perfect. Shows you how it's done perfect. You bunt it down here, Martinez doesn't have a chance to do anything but throw to first base.
And Nagel's not going to have a chance to face another hitter. Connors visited the mound a moment ago. Now it's Torrey who takes the ball from Nagel, and even if the Yankees maintain their lead, Nagel can't be the winner. He worked just 4 1/3. Jeff Nelson's coming in. While he was in there, Denny Nagel gave up only 3 singles. In this inning, a bunt single by Cameron and the 4th walk of the game by Nagel put runners at first and second with nobody out. Bunt single by McLemore, I should have said. Then Cameron bunted for a sacrifice, moving the runners to second and third, finishing Nagel and bringing Nelson out of the Yankee pen. Grimsley, the right-hander, Stanton, the lefty, getting ready. Seattle is 2 hitters away from the left-handed Olerud, so Stanton could become a factor at that point.
That could be difficult too, though, Bob, because we're only in the 5th inning. 4th inning, I'm sorry, bottom of the 5th.
A-Rod is 5 for 12 in his career against Jeff Nelson. Edgar Martinez on deck. The Yankee infield will concede the run. And more than that, base hit to left. 1 run home. Here comes the second. Ricky Henderson touches the dish. Rodriguez comes through. It's 3-2 Seattle.
hitters up at the right time. And he tries to jam Rodriguez with a fastball. Brocious just barely misses it. He makes a great attempt there. But watch Brocious. He just makes a great attempt, and the ball goes into left field. Now, you have two runners scoring. Ricky Henderson being the guy at second base scores easily, and A-Rod very happy that he was able to come through in that situation. But remember, you're only ahead 3-2. You have to keep building. And Jeff Nelson is very easy to get a good jump on to steal a base. And not only would that help you, you'll stay out of the double play with Edgar Martinez.
He's going on the first pitch. No, it's a bluff. He started and comes back.
Well, he stopped because Nelson gave him a little different move. He gave him a quicker move to the plate than he normally gives. Watch, see that? He didn't give him his normal high leg kick, so Rodriguez quickly stopped, and that's smart. But he will have to give you that leg kick in order to have his best stuff. So you just have to pick out when he does go to the plate slowly and take off. If he gives you the quick pitch like that, you're not going to be able to get as good a jump. But he's not going to have as good a stuff going to the plate as he normally has. See what I mean? He's not the same Jeff Nelson when he tries to change his motion. Now, 2-0, he probably should go to his regular motion just to make sure he has his best stuff going to the plate. And if he does that, that's the time that A-Rod can take off. It's well and good to use that slide step, as a lot of pitchers do. But you lose something in your motion and your rhythm, because otherwise you pitch like that all the time.
Rodriguez doesn't run all that often, but when he does, he usually makes it. 15 out of 19 this year.
I don't really think this is a hit-and-run situation, even though the count's 2-0. I think it's a situation where you let Edgar go ahead and drive the ball if he can, and you let A-Rod try to get a jump and steal the base if he can get a good jump.
Not going. A long drive to center. Williams going back. Looking up. Goodbye. The Mariners have unleashed some mojo here in the fifth. And lead it 5-2.
I think they've worked everything perfectly. He got 2-0. Don't hit and run. Let him drive it, and that's what Edgar does. He drives it straight away center field, and about halfway there, you could see Bernie Williams give up. He said, I'm not going to be able to get back this far. And that's a big fly right there.
A-Rod's pumped. Edgar just crushed one to dead center.
And just to go back to the point, you can see right here when he has a high leg kick that he throws strikes, he has better stuff. When he goes to the slide step, you lose something in your motion. I mean, that's just natural.
Olerud smacks one to deep right center. This one is on its way. This one is gone. Slapped a full Nelson on Jeff Nelson and have him just about ready to cry uncle here in the fifth.
Who are these guys?
Not the same guys of the last several games, that's for sure.
And Olerud gets good extension on this ball. I have thought all along that Olerud should be a guy that tries to drive the ball, and he did the last time up, but a home run was taken away by Bernie Williams. This time he hits it a little farther, and he says, go catch that one, Bernie. And you see the bench is very excited as They now feel like, hey, we're swinging it.
Nelson's feeling pretty grim, and Jason Grimsley's coming in. They're playing their Who Let the Dogs Out theme song by the Baja Men. Whoever let the dogs out of the kennel, they took several bites out of Jeff Nelson, and they're still barking at Safeco Field.
And the relief corps has not given up any runs to the Mariners in the last 12 innings, so this is a big breakthrough for the Mariners.
Here's Buhner, who struck out and singled. An inning that began with a bunt single by McLemore, then a walk to Ricky Henderson, following a sacrifice by Cameron, Torrey yanked Nagel. Rodriguez immediately singled to left, producing the tying and go-ahead runs, and Martinez and Olerud homered back-to-back to finish Jeff Nelson. Olerud has put 3 great swings on the ball, all 3 trips. He lined hard to O'Neill and right for a sacrifice fly in the first. He was robbed of a home run on his shot to right center by Bernie Williams in the fourth, and then he hit it so far that even Bernie couldn't get it here in the fifth. Over the bag at first and down the line for extra bases for Buhner, who goes the opposite way. Not extra bases, as O'Neill played the carom quickly and Buhner decided not to chance it.
Well, we saw the Yankees erupt in the 8th inning in New York, and all of a sudden the Mariners are erupting here. Buhner's not running well because that still should have been a double.
He's at first with the Mariners' 4th consecutive hit in this inning. The only out in the Seattle 5th. Cameron's successful sacrifice bunt. Through 4 games and 4 innings of the 5th game, Seattle had scored only 6 runs. They've gotten 5 here in the 5th. Williams makes the catch in center field to retire Bell.
And part of the success of a ball club is having the right people up at the right time. And it just worked out perfectly for Seattle that they had A-Rod, followed by Martinez, followed by Olerud. I mean, in this particular inning with runners in scoring position. They had to pitch to A-Rod because Edgar was next. They had to pitch to Edgar because Olerud was next. You didn't want to pitch around any of those hitters. And I understand, I think Joe managed it properly, but just didn't work out.
6-2 Seattle. Wilson is the 9th man to hit in the inning.
This all started with a bunt single by McLemore, which was a very smart play.
Grimsley's 0-1 pitch. Bounces away from Posada. And into the seats, Buhner to second.
Well, this pitch bounces in front, hits the heel of Posada's glove, and then bounces into the stands.
And the PA system blares the Trog's Wild Thing, which is the theme for the Charlie Sheen character Rick Vaughn in the Major League movie, which starred our buddy Bob Uecker in his finest role. Unless you happen to be partial to Mr. Belvedere, which was also quality work by Uecker.
Actually, I was sitting there thinking, I miss Bobby boy. Uecker, I miss Uecker.
What a great guy to be around. If he were here, he would have described that Grimsley wild pitch as just a bit outside. The 2-1. Sliced foul. Garcia's now been staked to a 4-run lead. And his ability to keep it in check, even though he was struggling a bit, to keep it at 2-1 has paid off as his team finally broke out of its long slump.
Well, that was a key inning because if he would have let them score 2 or 3 more runs, there was no doubt that it would have changed the complexion of this inning. And there's Paniagua. He's throwing in the bullpen. And I guarantee if Garcia gets into any trouble, Paniagua will be in there quickly.
And the 3-2 pitch. Walked him. So they batted around. Connors to the phone. McLemore to the plate. Turning around to hit from the left side. Gooden up in the Yankee bullpen. Ball 1.
And Grimsley throws a good sinker, and that's why you see these balls bouncing in the dirt, because he's trying to keep the sinker down. And he hasn't been able to find his release point to this point in the ball game.
One and one to McLemore. Runs on 5 hits in the 5th. Two of those hits home runs. Edgar Martinez and John Olerud. The 1-1 to McLemore. Bounce foul. Robbed of a round tripper by Williams in the 4th. Olerud connected in the 5th on a shot that was gone from the moment it left his bat. Two and two.
Baseball is such a strange game. You can never predict what's going to happen. The Mariners were not swinging the bats well this ball game. The Yankees were not swinging the bats well in game 2, and all of a sudden they erupted for 7 runs, and now here are the Mariners erupting for 5 runs.
2 on, 2 out on the 2-2 pitch. Full count. Well, the nature of baseball is when you play 162 games, just about anything can happen in any cluster of games, and it doesn't seem that unusual that a team would score 10 runs on Tuesday and get shut out on Wednesday. But in the postseason, everything is magnified so much that just a couple of games seem like an overwhelming trend.
But you know what, Bob? That's what makes baseball such a great game. You can't predict what's going to happen. You can have the best pitcher in baseball going against the weakest team, but it doesn't always come out that the weak team loses. And the fact that the Mariners have erupted here just gives them hope. That's the point. And let's remember, this game is not over. The Yankees have 12 outs left.
The runners go, and the 3-2 pitch is fouled away. Alex Rodriguez. Who knows if this is his last game should the Yankees rally, or his last few games, no matter how the postseason turns out, in a Mariner uniform. 48,000 at Safeco, and so many more in the Pacific Northwest hope not. But if this was his last home game, he delivered a huge base hit, turning a 2-1 deficit into a 3-2 lead, after which Martinez and Olerud immediately went deep.
Well, he actually contributed to Martinez going deep because with him at first base, Jeff Nelson went to the slide step, and he just didn't have as good a stuff from using the slide step as he had from his normal windup. So Rodriguez also aided Edgar.
Once again, the runners go. And it's ball 4 to McLemore. They're loaded again. Torrey has seen enough. And it looks like we'll see Gooden for the first time in this series. Ricky Henderson will be the 11th man to hit in the Seattle fifth when we come back. Back in Seattle, Doc Gooden warming up. Now 35 years old. He was 6-5 this year for the Yankees. This is his first postseason appearance in the year 2000. They didn't use him in the division series. Ricky Henderson steps to the plate. 15 years ago in 1985, Ricky Henderson was in New York with the Yankees. At the peak of his career, he hit .314. Stole 80 bases and scored 146 runs. Over in Queens at Shea Stadium, the brilliant young Gooden was winning the Cy Young Award, going 24-4 with 8 shutouts and an ERA of 1.53. Now each apparently at the tail end of a storied career. They face each other in this situation in the ALCS, and Gooden misses with ball 1. Gooden appeared to be ticketed for the Hall of Fame for sure. It looks now like he'll come up short of that. Ricky will make it on the first ballot. Fouled off, a ball and a strike. Four years ago at Yankee Stadium, Dwight Gooden pitched a no-hitter against the Seattle Mariners. Out of the bullpen with his team trailing by 4 here. And a called strike, 1-2 to Ricky.
A little slide piece over the outside corner. Nice slider from Gooden.
Gooden, a member of the world champion Mets of 1986. And the Yankees exactly a decade later in 96. Back in New York after a stint in Cleveland. A little check swing pop. Soho will put an end to the Mariner fifth. But they score 5 times. 2 of them on the Rodriguez single. 2 more on the Martinez homer. And they tack on the last one on this shot by Olerud. On to the 6th. 6-2 Seattle. My man, just as a contingency plan, do you have a ticket that will take you to New York instead of home to the Bay Area?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Bay Area and then go to New York.
You need fresh clothes, huh?
You're right.
Well, of course, the Yankees have 4 chances to rally here, down by 4. And they'll start it against a new pitcher in the top of the 6th. It's Jose Paniagua out of the bullpen. He's been impressive off what we've seen of him so far. First man he faces is Soho, whose 2-run double accounted for the Yankee runs in the 4th.
And I think this is a good move, Bob, because it doesn't do you any good to have fresh arms if you're eliminated. You try to go, and Garcia was actually struggling a little bit. He pitched well enough to give them a chance to win, which is all you want. But now you hand it over to the bullpen.
Rolled toward the middle. Rodriguez to his left. Dives. Pops back up. Hits at the first and gets him.
When I was talking earlier about how great an athlete you have to be to play shortstop and play it properly, this is a great illustration. He has to range far to his left. Now he has to bounce up quickly and then gun the ball to first base. Look at that. I mean, this is why this is such a demanding position. Not only you have to have a strong arm, you have to have a lot of range, and you have to be quick. Nice play.
Brocious fouls it off.
The one good thing about Paniagua is he has a good enough fastball that he can go after the hitters. He doesn't have to worry about hitting one corner or the other. If he gets ahead, then he can do that. But he has great movement with his fastball, and he also has a splitter.
Bounce to third. David Bell plays it and throws Brocious out. Joe, as you well know, NBC has a new hit on its hands this fall with Sunday's newest drama, Ed. Last week, 22 million people watched and found out why. It's considered one of the season's best new series. That's Ed, tonight at 8, 7 Central, right here on NBC.
Is that the bowling alley lawyer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As if in response to the 5-run fifth for the Mariners, the sun has come back out in Seattle. Just to show you how all the paths crisscross in television these days, Ed is produced by David Letterman's company, Worldwide Pants.
Worldwide Pants.
Yeah, that's the name of the company, Worldwide Pants. Just like you can work for ESPN and NBC.
Okay.
Dave can go from NBC to CBS, and NBC will still air his show.
Okay.
Or at least a show his company produced. The 1-1 to Knobloch. Hit hard toward third. Bell goes to his knees, throws from there. Two fine plays in the top of the 6th. One by Rodriguez, another by Bell, helping Paniagua to set the Yankees down in order. Man.
And the Mariners took the field with a whole new attitude after scoring the 5 runs in the 5th inning. Now they're just going to defense their way to this win. That's all you need now. They have enough runs, just play great defense. And this play, the front end of this play is great by Bell. He makes the play. But the back end with Olerud scooping this ball, this is a tough hop. This is not a short hop. Look at that. That's a big hop, and he times it perfectly. So they come out playing great defense. Your attitude changes when you take the lead.
Gooden back to work in the bottom half of the 6th. Facing Cameron, who's walked, flied to deep center, and laid down an important sacrifice bunt. Just about the entire Mariner lineup had been struggling coming into this game. Cameron, Rodriguez, Martinez, Olerud, no exceptions, although Rodriguez had a home run in Game 1 off Nagel. In a moment, we'll show you the difference. What a difference a few innings can make. This is what they've done combined through the first 4 games. And then today, and with Olerud, you can throw in a sacrifice fly and a near home run that Bernie Williams made a spectacular catch on. A drive down the line in right field as Cameron goes the opposite way, but it's foul.
Actually, kind of a tough situation for Dwight Gooden, Grimsley, and Cone if he comes in, because these guys haven't pitched in such a long time. Now, you come out there and you go on the mound and you do not have your control. It's very difficult to sit out for 7 or 8 days and then come in and pitch.
Looking at Dwight Gooden, he's a poignant figure in a way. His career turns out to be so much less than what it could have been. And a lot of that is his own fault, which he has acknowledged. When he came to the big leagues in 1984, and for the first couple of years after that, he was more than good. He was a beautiful pitcher to watch. His motion, his style on the mound. You just couldn't miss a Dwight Gooden start if you were a New York baseball fan.
I think if you're a fan around the world, anytime you could turn on the TV when he was pitching, it was a great treat.
It was something to behold. It really was. Hit to third. Brocious has it across the diamond to barely get Cameron at first base. And as I mentioned last night, Joe, the Mets had at that time in Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden the best-looking young power hitter and the best-looking pitcher, not only in the National League at that time, but maybe, as you looked at their potential and their raw ability, maybe the best to come into baseball in many, many years.
I don't think there was any doubt they were both going to be great.
And each had moments and seasons of greatness. But each fell short of what their gifts might have indicated. Alex Rodriguez has hit Doc Gooden well in the past, 6 for 15 with a home run. (2-0). Edgar Martinez, who's on deck, has been no bargain for Gooden either. 5 for 13 with 2 home runs off Doc.
If the Mariners are able to hold on and win this ball game, I think you'll see a completely different attitude when they go to New York. Of course, they're going to have Orlando Hernandez waiting for them, and that can change their attitude again, but I think you'll see a different approach when they go to New York this next time, if they're able to hold on to this lead.
As we've mentioned, John Halama, the left-hander, who has pitched well in both the regular season and the playoffs against the Yankees, will oppose El Duque if there is a Game 6. Nub to the right side, a tough chance for Soho. He shovels it over with the glove. Rodriguez.
And that's one of the reasons that infielders, especially second basemen, in my opinion, need a smaller glove so they can slip it out of there. Because he could not have taken this ball out and put it in, shifted it to his right hand and thrown it to get Rodriguez. As you see him go down the line quickly. Nice play there by Soho. Now watch this. If you have a large glove, you can't, if you get lost in there, there's no way you can get it out.
Of course, even the glove Soho is using is about twice as big as that little mitten you used to favor.
Well, that's true, but I mean, I think that you should have a smaller glove, and that is a smaller one if you are a second baseman.
Another reason that a second baseman wants to have the smaller glove is that you don't want it to get lost in there on a DP pivot. You want to be able to quickly dig it out and get rid of it.
Correct.
Ball 1 to Edgar. Another chance for Soho. Plays the short hop, throws him out. Good infield play on both sides in the 6th. It remains 6-2, and we're back after these messages and a word from your local station. As they bat in the 7th, the Yankees will send up Jeter, Justice, and Williams against Paniagua.
Paniagua working from the stretch, as almost all modern relievers do, whether there's a runner aboard or not. Ball 1 to Jeter.
And when you ask them, they say they do it because they feel more comfortable doing it that way, because they are relievers and they want to be able to be comfortable if they have to pitch with runners on base.
You can pretty much look ahead to Lou Piniella's likely plan if Paniagua can get the Yankees out in order: Jeter, Justice, Williams. Then you've got Martinez, a left-handed hitter, Posada, switch hitter, O'Neill, another lefty in the 8th, and that's the guy he'd want, Arthur Rhodes, and then he would want Sasaki to finish it. Even if they still have a 4-run lead, Sasaki hasn't pitched in a few days, and tomorrow's an off day, so he wants Sasaki to get some work in, so he'll throw the 9th.
But I also think it's very important, and I'm surprised he hasn't done it before. I think it's important to get Arthur Rhodes back out there because he got knocked around in New York, and I felt like he should have gotten him back out there on the mound, one time here in Seattle to give him a chance, to regroup. And it looks like he may get that opportunity today, because going back to New York, if that happens, that would still be on his mind if he doesn't pitch any time in between.
Still 1-2 to Jeter. Piniella had an interesting observation about Rhodes and his rough outing at Yankee Stadium. He wasn't making excuses, but he says part of the problem for Rhodes is that the bullpen mound at Yankee Stadium is very different from the actual mound.
Well, he felt like the actual mound was steeper,
right,
and therefore he was getting his body out over his legs too quickly.
It was changing his landing point on his delivery, and that could throw you off stride a little bit, literally and figuratively, if you're a visiting player and not as used to the mound as the home team Yankees.
Well, he's got a solution for that. He said if they have another off day there, he's going to have Rhodes throw off the mound and get his work in rather than throw in the bullpen like you normally do.
Another 1-2 pitch from Paniagua to Jeter. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Of course, Rhodes' career ERA against the Yankees, whether an Oriole or a Mariner, is over 7. So not all of that can be blamed on the mound.
Some of it came in Baltimore and other places, right?
Exactly. And the 2-2 pitch. Jeter and Paniagua battling here in the 7th. Derek has singled, struck out, grounded out. Full count now.
And he's done a good job. Derek has just battled Paniagua and forced him to throw a lot of extra pitches. And now he has a chance to try to get on base here and lead off the Yankees 7th and give him an opportunity to try to come back. And make no mistake about it, the Yankees have enough power to come back. And when you're 4 runs down, you have to have some power because you're not going to get like 8 or 9 consecutive singles or doubles to drive in runs.
Paul O'Neill on the Yankee bench. Don't those guys ever use a wastebasket? All those cups strewn all over the floor. Didn't their mothers teach them to pick up after themselves? This is about a 10 or 11 pitch battle, if not more than that, between Paniagua and Jeter as the refuse builds in the Yankee dugout.
To be honest with you, I don't remember having waste baskets in dugouts.
Or spittoons, for that matter. Another 3-2 pitch.
And he really earned that walk. Sometimes it's just a baseball expression to say a guy worked a walk, but Jeter really did in this case. Game 4 tonight from Shea Stadium in the NLCS. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver with the call. Darryl Kyle will pitch for the Cardinals, trying to get him even. Bobby Jones will go for the Mets. If there is a Game 6, we have it at 8 Eastern time from Yankee Stadium. Mariners and Yanks. Piniella yanks Paniagua right here. He wants the lefty Arthur Rhodes to face Justice. Well, if Jose Paniagua had retired Derek Jeter, I'm pretty sure that Lou Piniella would have left him in to face David Justice. But in this case, he doesn't want to run the risk that with one swing, Justice cuts the 4-run deficit in half and gets the Yankees right back in the game. On the other hand, Justice was the first man Arthur Rhodes faced in the 8th inning at Yankee Stadium in Game 2, and he nearly hit it out off the left-hander, off the top of the wall in left center for a leadoff double that ignited a 7-run Yankee rally.
And when I talked to Piniella about that, he said the reason that Justice hit that ball because it was up and out over the plate.
Which is usually the case when you get hurt, right?
Yeah, right. But that one was in the middle of the plate and up, and he said that's the reason that Justice was able to drive the ball. He said if he could have gotten any of those pitches down, he felt like Rhodes would have gotten him out. But that's what makes a ball game. But you see, Justice has hit him well in his entire career.
Rhodes gets ahead of him 0-2. Here are some interesting numbers. Not enough, and Piniella is aware of all these numbers, not enough to get him to go against the usual lefty-lefty percentages, but it's very interesting that all of these left-handed hitters for the Yankees actually hit better against southpaws this year than against right-handers.
But I guarantee you they didn't hit for as much power against left-handed pitching as they did right-handed pitching, percentage-wise, because it's going to have fewer at-bats against left-handed pitching.
Still 0-2. Well, you're right about O'Neill and Tino Martinez. O'Neill had 3 home runs and 155 at-bats against lefties, and Tino just 3 in 171 chances. But how about Justice? 9 homers in 81 at-bats.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really, normally a left-handed hitter may hit left-handed pitching well, but he's not going to hit for a lot of power against left-handed pitching. Because you have to hit left-handed pitching, you have to stay pretty much back through the middle of the diamond in order to hit them well. But we've seen Justice has enough power to go straight away, and that tells you right there the answer. He can go straight away with it.
Another 0-2 from Rhodes, and he got him to wave at it weakly and strikes him out. Very different result as compared to their first confrontation in this series.
Good fastball on the outside edge, and he comes with a breaking ball that he fouls back. Fastball chop and a great curveball. So he got that pitch down and away. And that was just a tough pitch for Justice to handle. But the key there that he got ahead of him. And in New York, it was a 3-2 pitch. It was a 3-2 count, so Justice knew exactly what was coming, and he was able to drive it off the wall in left center field.
Bernie Williams is 1 for 3, had a 5th inning double. And he made a sensational defensive play, robbing Olerud of a home run against the fence in right center. Switch hitter batting right-handed here against Rhodes and taking ball 1.
If you're someone on the infield, you tell Arthur Rhodes, forget about Derek Jeter at first base. He's looking over there a couple of times. Just forget about him and pitch to Bernie Williams.
Threw it past him upstairs for strike 1.
This is some high heat from Rhodes, up and out of the zone, and Bernie goes up after it, can't get it, 94 miles an hour. When it gets up around 94, 95 miles an hour, and you can't hit it when it gets above your letters.
High 2-1. We walked into Pinella's office before the game. Yesterday he had told us, no, we're not edgy. Our backs aren't really to the wall. It's 2-1. We can get even. First thing he said when we walked in today, well, I guess we do have to win now, don't we? Sometimes a recognition of the obvious is an important first step.
Yes, it is.
They have no alternative. The 2-2 pitch. Full count now to Bernie Williams. Jeter's at first. He walked against Paniagua to start the inning. Rhodes came out of the bullpen to fan Justice. Now the count runs full on Williams.
Normally, if a pitcher will throw a breaking ball 2-2, you say he should be able to throw it 3-2. But in this case, you can't because you can't risk walking him. That's why you normally try to make things happen on 2-2, so you do not go to 3-2 and alert the hitter to the fact that you're going to have to throw him a fastball. That was interesting there. You saw him shake. That meant yes to the fastball, and then he shook his head again. That meant no to the location. He didn't want to throw it exactly where he had given the location.
Ball 4 to Bernie Williams. A pair of walks give the Yankees 2 men on with 1 out. Bringing up Tino Martinez in a situation where a single swing could get them right back in this game.
And the one thing to remember if you're the Yankees, you do not have to get them all back here in the 7th inning. If you can just get a little closer to put a little bit more pressure on the Seattle bullpen, you're in great shape.
He's going with Rhodes for the time being. The bullpen is quiet. Martinez has a double in 3 trips, and he takes a ball.
And that's the problem he's having is with his breaking ball, which is the same problem he had in New York. He threw a couple of good breaking balls to David Justice, but he wasn't able to get the breaking ball near the plate to Bernie Williams, and he misses here to Tino. And when you do that, the hitter knows he's going to get a fastball the next pitch.
It's low. They're a couple of pitches away from bringing the tying run to the plate, and it brings Brian Price out of the dugout. The switch-hitting Posada is on deck. What can drive you more crazy than this? You've got a 4-run lead. Finally, some kind of breathing room in a series where runs have been tough to come by. And your first reliever walks the leadoff man. Your next guy walks the second man he faces. As Price headed back to the dugout, the clever individual who controls the PA system played the theme from The Price is Right. Way high, 3-0. And Rhodes is not right. Not right now.
Well, this pitch is just, the release point is high and it just stays up there.
In there for a strike.
Tino has hit Rhodes pretty well. That's 25 at bats. That's good enough sampling.
Fouled off, full count.
Rice on the phone to the bullpen. Let's see who gets up. They've got the left-hander Rob Ramsey down there. Mesa was ineffective last night. They want Sasaki up now in the 7th.
Well, I think they just want him to start getting loose, Bob, because they can't let this snowball start rolling too quickly.
Ball 4, bases loaded, tying run at the plate. Piniella muttering to himself. Something like this just can't happen.
Well, you walk 3 runners when you have a 4-run lead. I mean, that's what can't happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I mean. It's not unheard of to blow a 4-run lead. That happens all the time these days in baseball. Offense being what it is. But you just don't want to allow them to get back into the game in this fashion, or give them a chance to do it in this fashion. Posada from the right side takes ball 1.
Well, I actually think that what happens here is when you get Dan Wilson, he runs out there, you may be just overthinking here. Just get the ball and throw it. We've had 2 conferences. Actually 3. Well, what can you tell him? Just say throw strikes. Unless you notice something in his mechanics, then you just say throw it. Put the target in the middle of the plate and throw it.
Jeter at 3rd, Williams at 2nd, Martinez at 1st. They've all walked here in the 7th. Mixed in, Rhodes struck, Justice out. Posada's 1 for 2 with a walk of his own thrown in. Rhodes 1-0 pitch. Cut on and bounced toward 3rd. Foul. Just foul.
And that was going to be very difficult. I don't know exactly what Bell was going to do. He looked at second base. I don't think he really had a play there. And we're going to look at this ball's chopped just outside the bag. Bell looks at second base, and I don't think he had a play at second base.
Posada has worn Rhodes out, as you saw.
Well, he had a 7.14 earned run average against the Yankees. A lot of people have worn him out. And each one we talk about is hitting well.
And his 1-1 pitch. Fouled away, no play. You know, you often see Piniella consulting that sheet, which lets him know what each Yankee hitter has done against each of his pitchers. So he knows Rhodes' entire history. Piniella is a Rhodes scholar in that regard. O'Neill, who's on deck, is 5 for 19 with a home run in his career against Arthur Rhodes. The 1-2 to Posada. Struck him out. Took something off. And he gets Posada swinging.
Well, his first pitch is a fastball low. Then he comes with a good fastball. Posada fouls it. Another good fastball. He fouls it away. And then he throws him that looks more like a slider than his curveball that he's been trying to throw. And it appears that they're going to pinch hit for Paul O'Neill again.
With Glenn Allen Hill. When this happened in New York, O'Neill expressed no disagreement and no anger. He understood the percentage play, especially since he, O'Neill, was not hitting well at all at that time. He swung the bat better here in Seattle,
but not so much so that Torrey wouldn't prefer to see the right-handed hitting Glenn Allen Hill up against the lefty Rhodes in this situation. Hill has 4 career at-bats against Rhodes without a hit. He batted .293 for the season, splitting it between the Cubs and the Yankees. He had a career-high 27 home runs in only 300 at-bats.
And Glenn Allen is a guy that has enough power that obviously he can tie this game with one swing of the bat. But in New York, Rhodes threw him a lot of high fastballs, and he was able to get a hit of him, and then he struck him out with a curveball.
Well, if you're not going to use Hill in this spot, tying run at the plate with the bases loaded, you might as well not have him on the roster.
I think Pinellas would have been happier, obviously, to see O'Neill bat in this situation, but Joe Torre's trying to get back in this ball game with one swing.
Ball 1. He's used to coming off the bench, and often, as you see, with great results. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and the 1-0 pitch. Threw it by him, a ball and a strike.
And that's basically what he did in New York, the high fastball, and Glenn Allen Hill was not able to catch up with it. Here's a fastball up and away. Hill can't catch up with it, and then he was able to get ahead and throw the curveball.
Check swing foul, 1-2.
Well, there's the 2 high fastballs that he's used. Now we'll see if he wants to go to the curveball. First high fastball, he swung and missed. Here's another high fastball he tries to check on, fouls it away.
Jeter away from third. Williams a lead at second. Tino Martinez the runner at first. They all walked in this 7th inning. 6-2 Seattle. Glenn Allen Hill batting for O'Neill. Tying run at the plate, and the 1-2 pitch. Got him looking. The Yankees leave him loaded and still trail by 4.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. By Sun America, the retirement specialist. By MySAP.com, the best-run e-businesses run MySAP.com. And by Valvoline Max Life, the first motor oil formulated for higher mileage engines.
Well, they gave up 3 bases on balls that inning, but they also had 3 strikeouts. Curveball to David Justice for the first strikeout, another curveball to Posada, and a third curveball catches Glenn Allen Hill looking, and that's the exact pattern he used on Glenn Allen Hill in New York the other day. 2 high fastballs and an overhand curve. So the curveball has been his best pitch, even though he's a good fastball pitcher.
With O'Neill out of the game, having been hit for by Glenn Allen Hill, Clay Bellinger comes into play left, and David Justice moves from left to right. And David Cone now is up in the Yankee bullpen. We speculated last night that we might go the whole postseason without seeing either Gooden or Cone work. Gooden is in, and he's back to the hill here in the 7th. And Cone may be next. Olerud has hit the ball hard every time up. And his last time, he went for the distance. He lined to O'Neill in right in the first, turned out to be a sacrifice fly, was robbed of a homer against the wall in right center by Bernie Williams in the 4th, and then homered to right center in the 5th.
They'll be followed by Buhner and Bell against Gooden in the last half of the 7th. Strike one, 1-1.
Well, Dwight Gooden used to have an overpowering fastball, a great curveball, and now he uses the slider a little bit more, uses the changeup, and he still has a pretty good fastball. 91 miles an hour on the radar gun.
Past Cy Young Award winner on the mound. Past Cy Young Award winner warming up in the bullpen. 5-time Cy Young Award winner. Threw a masterpiece for them last night. There's the Rocket. 15 strikeouts and a one-hitter to give the Yankees a 3-1 lead. I mentioned something about Clemens' uniform number last night. He wears 22 these days because Paul O'Neill is number 21 in New York. Roger has always favored 21. He had it in Boston and in Toronto. When he first came to the Yankees, he chose 12 since O'Neill was the incumbent with 21. The numbers reversed. He's now gone to 22 because his eldest son, Kobe, is a football fan, a high school running back himself, and he idolizes Emmitt Smith. Clemens' family is from Texas. So to make his son Kobe happy, Roger went to number 22, which is Emmitt Smith's football number. The 3-2 pitch to Olerud is lined through the middle. Great game for Olerud. He leads off the 7th with a single.
High slider from Dwight Gooden. High slider over the middle of the plate, and he lines it into center field. Slider that stays up, but he was trying to just throw a strike with it. Didn't count as 3 balls and 2 strikes. So he accomplished what he wanted, but Olerud beat him with a liner back through the middle.
Which brings up Buhner, who struck out and then singled twice. Strike one. So last night I mentioned that when Clemens went from Boston to Toronto, he got number 21, which had belonged to Carlos Delgado. And I made it sound as if he had in effect purchased it from Carlos by giving him an expensive Rolex watch. But that came after Delgado had of his own accord given the number up out of respect to Clemens' achievements and his standing in the game. And then, after Delgado had given him number 21 of his own accord, Clemens gave Delgado the watch out of appreciation as a thank you. The 0-2 pitch. A called strike 3 on 3 pitches. Gooden takes care of Buhner. Here's the March 1st game summary. As we mentioned earlier, even though they led at 1 point 2-1, the Yankees had squandered a lot of opportunities. Up 2-1, they had already left 8 men on base. Then they stranded 3 more when Glenn Allen Hill was called out on strikes with the bases loaded in the top of the 7th. They have 2 runs on 7 hits, and they've left 11. Two-0 to David Bell.
I think the real high point of this ball game was when Freddie Garcia was able to get out of the 4th inning with only 2 runs scored. The Yankees had scored 2 runs, and they still had the bases loaded with no one out, and he was able to keep them from scoring the remainder of the inning. And then things turned around in the 6th for the Mariners.
Garcia stands to be the winning pitcher, which would make him 2-0 in this series. He'd have both Mariner victories if this lead holds up.
Called strike, 3-1. Dan Wilson on deck.
This is a situation where if you Lou Piniella, you need to try to jumpstart this offense again. Maybe send Olerud 3-1. You can't just sit on this lead or hope that 4 runs are enough. You try to add to them as you go along.
There goes the runner. It's a called strike. The throw is high. And Olerud, not the kind of guy you think of as a base stealer, swipes second.
Well, Bell's now looking down. I guess he thought it was ball 4, but you're still supposed to protect the runner. You know you're not, and it's a pretty good pitch right on the outside corner. Olerud not a base stealer, so you know that was a hit and run. And it was a perfect count for it. 3 balls, 1 strike. And Olerud says, hit it. But it works out for the Mariners. Now Bell can drive him, has a chance to drive him in.
And the count holds at 3-2. Olerud didn't steal a single base during the regular season. This is his first since September of 1999.
And that was probably a missed hit and run as well. They don't,
pretty good guess.
Yeah, they do not send him very often on a straight steal.
Bell is 1 for 3, had a single in the second off Denny Nagel. Another 3-2 from Gooden, and another foul ball. Torrey's big hitters will each have one more shot at it. He's got the 8 and 9 men at the start of the 8th inning. Then back to the top for Knobloch and Jeter, Justice, and Williams. They'll all get at least one more at bat. He hopes it's in the 8th rather than the 9th, which would mean they've got something going. A line drive taken on a hop by Soho. He looked at third, no play there. And he throws Bell out at first. And coming soon to NBC.
Michael Richards is back on NBC as a private eye, along with Tim Meadows.
The adventure begins.
The Michael Richards Show premieres 1 week from Tuesday on NBC.
Michael Richards and Tim Meadows, you told me as soon as this series is over, the first thing you're going to do, or among the first things, is head for the theater to see Tim Meadows in The Ladies' Man.
Correct.
Dan Wilson, the hitter. Leon Phelps, the Ladies' Man. Wilson has flied to deep center, grounded to third, and walked. Hitless in his last 38 postseason at-bats. This is a string that must end.
Everybody's pulling for him.
Eventually. I don't think anybody in the Yankee dugout's pulling for him right now, but Torrey is a very nice man, but his sympathies know some limits. A little roller foul. To this point, the law of averages seems not to apply to Dan Wilson. Of course, catcher is one position where you can make up for it to some extent with what you do out on the field. Wilson is a .262 lifetime hitter.
Right, so he's not accustomed to going this long without a base hit either. Bob, this one run is very, very important because then a grand slam would not tie the ball game. So this is a big run, and if he can get a base hit, it may seem like, well, he gets a hit when it's 6-2. No, this is a very important run because that keeps the Yankees from bringing the tying run to the plate as they did last inning just by getting the bases loaded.
Wilson's ahead on the count, 3-1. And Gooden steps off. Lower toward the middle. Jeter plays it, throws, and Dan Wilson, certainly not an automatic out throughout his career, has been that in the playoffs. Left shaking his head, but his team still leads 6-2. We move to the 8th, and Lou Piniella is thinking about improving his defense. Ricky Henderson comes out, and Raul Ibanez replaces him in left field. Charles Gibson is in right, with Jay Buhner finished for the day. And Sasaki, the closer, is back up.
Now the situation where Lou would probably go to Sasaki if the Yankees start a rally here in the 8th inning.
Left-hander Rhodes back out. 4 consecutive right-handed hitters do. Soho, Brocious, Knobloch, Jeter. (0-2) to Soho, who, as you saw a second ago, is 2 for 3 with a single and double. Might have been 3 for 3, but Rodriguez robbed him of a hit on a sparkling play, diving behind second base and then popping back up to throw him out in the 6th. One and two. Fouled away.
And Soho has played great at second base. He's worked well with Jeter at shortstop. And he's added a lot of key base hits for the Yankees in this series. The 2-run double in the 4th gave them an opportunity to basically break the game open, and they could not do so after his double.
Down goes Soho.
Well, that's 3 straight strikeouts for Arthur Rhodes. This is the first one that he threw a fastball by one of the hitters. And that's a real live fastball right there. Moves away. See, the target's on the inside, but the ball is actually on the outside part of the plate. And Soho swings through it.
Well, Rhodes has now faced 6 hitters, and none of them have put the ball in play. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. Two and 0. We're in the top of the 8th. Seattle got a run in the 1st for a 1-0 lead. Soho's bases loaded double made it 2-1 New York in the 4th. Seattle erupted for 5 in the 5th. 2-run single by Alex Rodriguez. 2-run homer by Edgar Martinez. A solo shot by Olerud, back-to-back with Martinez. The rally started against Nagel. Then they pounded Jeff Nelson out of the bullpen. Brocious draws a walk. And it draws a visit from Lou Piniella.
I think Lou Piniella is going to go to Sasaki.
Taking no chances, he'll ask Sasaki to get 5 outs to close this one. Arthur Rhodes faced 7 hitters. He walked 3 and he struck out 4.
No one put the ball in play. That's interesting.
Sasaki comes on to replace him, working in shirt sleeves on a chilly day and early evening in Seattle. That first word in Japanese, I'm not going to risk pronouncing it. Not Tasmania. They'd only be kind enough to flash the first word, which is D-A-I-M-A-I-J-I-N. Roughly means, I'm told, you the man.
And he has been the man here in Seattle.
Imagine. There's a substantial Asian population in the Seattle area. A Japanese-based ownership group for the Mariners. A good fit for Sasaki, the all-time leader in saves in Japanese baseball with over 200. Ball one to the first man he faces, Chuck Knobloch. Sasaki technically is a major league rookie at age 32, although obviously he's a seasoned baseball veteran. So he now holds the record for most saves in a season by a rookie with 37. Knobloch pops it up. Olerud in foul ground. And that's the second out here in the Yankee eighth. In 1986, Todd Worrell had 36 saves as a Cardinal rookie. Although Worrell had come up to the big club in 1985 and in fact was on the mound for them in the World Series against Kansas City when the famous disputed play happened in the ninth inning of the sixth game and all the rest. But he was technically a rookie in 1986. 36 saves. The record until Sasaki this year. Jeter's 1 for 3 with a walk. Up and in for a ball.
I haven't seen Sasaki pitch that often, but it seems like he drops down like he's almost throwing uphill every once in a while.
Jeter rips one over the glove of his buddy Rodriguez at short for a 2-out hit.
This is a fastball. He gets a lot of the plate, and Jarrett just rips it. I mean, this ball's hit so hard that A-Rod didn't really have a chance to move, so he can't get over there and jump. He had to jump from where he was because it was hit so sharply he didn't have time to take a couple of steps to his right.
So the Mariners are never quite in a spot where they can breathe easy, because now Justice is a swing away from making this a one-run game. Fouls it off. The Yankees, as you see, have had their chances, plenty of them. They left the bases loaded in the seventh. They've left 11 on for the game. They have 2 on with 2 out in the eighth, trailing by 4. Justice committed himself 0-2.
Well, Sasaki throws a fastball and a splitter. This is the splitter, and you see Justice cannot hold up. And it's now 2 strikes. Sasaki struck him out on Tuesday in New York, and there you see signs. I'm sure they mean you the man. There may be different phrases, but he is the man here.
Yes, he is. The Yankees have left
13 on base. In the Eastern and Central time zones, the acclaimed new show Ed will be seen in its entirety immediately following the ball game. Out on the West Coast, you'll see it at its regularly scheduled time. David Cohn to the mound, carrying with him atypical figures. He's been one of the best pitchers of his generation, especially in big games, which is why Torrey, renowned for his patience, stuck with him as long as he possibly could this year. But he wound up 4-14 with an ERA of nearly 7 and hadn't appeared in the postseason until now.
Well, David Cohn has been a big game pitcher for the Yankees, for the Mets. He's always been a good big game pitcher. And he's one of those guys that everybody on the team felt comfortable with on the mound. They knew when he pitched a big game, you were always going to be in that ball game.
First man he'll face is Mark McLemore. It was McLemore's bunt down the third base line that started the 5-run fifth. Sometimes a struggling team needs little things to get it going. Garcia had kept them in the game by stifling Yankee rallies. They were trailing 2-1. Their offense hadn't gotten on track. McLemore hits it hard, but Soho gets in front of it and throws him out. So then McLemore drops a bunt. Henderson gets a walk. Cameron with a successful sacrifice. It forces a pitching change, and that brings us to the Morgan Stanley Dean Witter well-connected play or plays of the game. As soon as Nelson replaced Nagel, Rodriguez greeted him with a 2-run single to left. Martinez followed with a bomb to center, and then Olerud went yard to right center, and just like that, the Mariners were in front 6-2. Here's Ibanez for the first time. He replaced Henderson in left field and at the top of the Mariner order. In the Yankee ninth, Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, Jorge Posada down by at least 4. Ibanez was a .229 hitter in limited duty. This is his 5th year in the majors, but he's always been a bench player. He's never had more than 209 at-bats in any big league season. 2-1.
I have a question that we may be able to get answered soon, and that is if the Mariners are able to hold on and if they were to go to Game 7, could Freddie Garcia pitch that ball game? Because he didn't pitch very long today. How many pitches did he throw? And would Lou feel comfortable sending him back out there?
Well, he'd have 3 days rest, right? And while he couldn't go 9, certainly he could work a chunk of the game. Bounce to second, another chance for Soho, and that's the second out. Aaron Seeley would be the scheduled starter against Andy Pettit if there is a Game 7. Perhaps the greater likelihood would be that Garcia would be the first guy out of the bullpen, and that at the first sign of trouble for Seeley, you would go to Garcia.
Well, the point is that you need someone who has pitched in Yankee Stadium in this pressure of series this time that you know you could count on. I guess Halama's going to go in Game 6 if there's a Game 6, and he's already pitched a good ball game there.
Garcia, for the record, threw 96 pitches in this outing.
That's a lot more than I thought he did. I knew he was in trouble, but that's a lot of pitches.
Alex Rodriguez is on deck. He may not get to bat here. He won't unless Cameron reaches. It's possible that this could be the last game he plays as a Seattle Mariner. I underline possible. there's a very good chance that he comes back, that they work things out. There's also a chance that the Mariners win not only this game but the series and get to play more home games here in October in the World Series. On the other hand, if things don't turn out right, they could be looking at him as their player for the last time. Cohn's 2-2 pitch is hit high in the air behind third base. Brocious over with Jeter. Brocious has room and he makes the catch. Well, both Gooden and Cohn, forgotten men, turned in decent outings here in Game 5.
NBC's coverage of the American League Championship Series is brought to you by Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. Move your money, get well connected. By March 1st. Here's to being first. March 1st. A new world, a new way. www.march1st.com. And by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Here's the Chevy player of the game. Olerud, a homer, a single, a sacrifice fly, and the only time he was retired, Bernie Williams had to reach over the wall to pull back a would-be home run.
Well, he actually was very aggressive from the beginning of this ball game. I think it started last night. He started to swing the bat with more authority. And then he drove a couple of balls today, which is something he had not been doing for a while.
So now Sasaki goes after the 3 outs they need to send this series back to New York.
And Bernie Williams and Sasaki had this cat and mouse game going on in New York. One would step out, Sasaki would go behind the mound.
Strike one. Strike two, and Bernie takes another walk. The tendency of modern players, Williams is not the only one, to do this after every pitch, coupled with the lengthier commercials between innings and various other things, players taking their time, accounts for the fact that this game, in which the home team is unlikely to bat what will amount to an 8.5 inning game, has now taken 4 hours. Now, it's been a very good game, and there's no place I'd rather be. Unless it's Shea Stadium for the Cardinals and Mets. So I'm not complaining.
No, but you're just pointing out a fact.
It ain't right. It ain't right for a ball game to take 4 hours that doesn't go 15 innings and isn't 15-10. Almost hit him. Or did
hit him.
Yeah, he got a piece of him, and he's on to start the ninth.
That's a big mistake by Sasaki. I mean, no balls and 2 strikes. He's trying to come inside, but he grazes Williams' back leg, and he has put him on base. 0-2. Should never hit anyone 0-2. I guess that's the point. And the Mariners have tried to help him. I mean, they walked several hitters with a 4-run lead, and then they hit the leadoff hitter here in the 9th inning with no balls and 2 strike count.
And now a wild pitch. Williams goes down to second, significant because it takes off the possible double play. Lou Piniella, by the way, just told our Jim Gray that it will be Halama in Game 6 if Sasaki can close the deal here. And at present, he's thinking about that guy, Aaron Seeley, which was the original plan for Seeley to pitch 3 and 7 if there is a Game 7. It will still be Seeley in the 7th game with Garcia the first option out of the bullpen. Williams at second with nobody out. And the count goes to 2-0 on Tino Martinez. We'll be on the air with that Game 6 if the Mariners hold on here. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Tuesday. Orlando Hernandez against John Halama. A rematch of Game 2, in which both pitched very well. Sasaki facing Tino Martinez, who's 1 for 3 with a walk. Tino doubled and scored in the 4th. He fouls it to the screen, 2-2.
Lou Piniella had been pretty passive most of this series, but I think the last 2 nights we've seen a little bit of the fire coming out in Lou.
And he was yapping at the Yankee dugout yesterday after Clemens buzzed Rodriguez twice. Down and in, they check at third. He didn't go around. It's 3-2. And then Abbott moved Posada off the plate in retaliation. Let's watch this pitch and see how close Martinez came to going around. Could have gone either way. He has life. The count at 3-2.
Very close.
Piniella wanted strike 3, of course. Didn't get it. The 3-2 pitch. Bounced to second. What could have been a double play ball had it not been for the wild pitch. Williams to third. Martinez retired for the first out in the 9th. Anyway, a few on the Yankee bench apparently said something when Posada was moved off the plate. And that really incensed Piniella because, after all, it was Clemens who had first thrown close to Rodriguez. In fact, he'd done it twice. So we asked Torre about it before the game, when everybody was still talking about the masterpiece Clemens had thrown. And Torre said, I had no problem with it. You know, Lou, he's a passionate guy. He was that way as a player. He's that way as a manager. It's all in the game. These two guys like each other, Torre and Piniella. Ball 1 to Posada. Luis Polonia has come out on deck. Clay Bellinger would be the scheduled hitter. And there is Polonia, who has popped up in more places than Waldo as his major league career continues.
And Bob, when you watch relievers like Sasaki and a lot of the other closers and how they sometimes struggle, it gives you a better appreciation for Mariano Rivera and how when he comes in, the game is over. I mean, and that separates him from most other closers.
He doesn't give Joe Torre much anxiety.
I mean, even in Game 1, we saw Sasaki struggle to close the Yankees out in Yankee Stadium. But you never see Rivera struggle. I mean, he just comes in and let's get this over with.
And he's usually about as impassive as he appears right there, sitting in the bullpen.
Actually looked excited there to me.
Called strike. Well, here's Sasaki. He hit Bernie Williams with an 0-2 pitch to open the inning. After retiring Martinez, he falls behind Posada 3-0, delivers a strike. Rivera just wondering what time the charter leaves for New York.
And when is the next time they'll want me to close one out?
Popped up. Let's see if it stays in. It won't. The Mariner Moose. I don't know if it's the same moose or a replacement moose, but you may recall in 1995, the Moose broke his ankle, or her ankle. I'm not exactly sure of the gender here with the Moose, but broke an ankle sliding up against the wall in the Kingdome. It was a tragic situation with the mascot sidelined for the rest of the LCS, perhaps accounting for their defeat at the hand of the Indians. Ball 4. And now Polonia will get a chance to bat, and you'll get a chance to see Ed in its entirety in the Eastern and Central time zones. As soon as the ball game concludes out on the West Coast, it'll be on at its regular time. Highly acclaimed new program.
Well, we talked to Lou about how they communicate when they go out to see Sasaki, and usually Sasaki does what he just did there. So he doesn't say much, he just shakes his head. He did say okay right there.
Piniella has reason to pace. The deal is not closed. The potential tying run would be on deck if Polonia can reach. He hit .276, and this is 12th season in the major leagues. He fouls it back. This is the third time he's been with the Yankees. He's also been with the Braves twice, the Angels, the Orioles, the A's, the Tigers, and played in Mexico City for 2 seasons. A lot of stickers on his bag.
He loves baseball.
The 0-1 pitch. Polonia had 1 at-bat in the division series against Oakland and got a pinch hit. Fouled away, 1-2.
The one thing about Sasaki, he's able to throw the fastball, and he has enough movement on it that they can't really hurt him on it because he's been behind a lot of hitters and had to throw fastballs. I like this explanation through an interpreter. He said, yes, he was nervous in Game 1 in Yankee Stadium, but boy, it was fun.
It was 1-2 to Polonia, and Luis stays alive.
And that separates kind of the good player from a great player. You're always going to be nervous in certain situations, but if you can enjoy the moment, then that makes you special, and then you'll usually come through in those situations.
And there's a difference between a certain kind of nervousness and the sort of nerves that go past butterflies to anxiety and affect your performance. The 1-2 pitch. Got a little piece of it.
Well, that's his splitter, and when he gets ahead in the count, he's definitely going to use it. And that's for a couple of reasons. Usually the splitter, you're going to hit the top of it and at least keep the ball in the ballpark.
Another 1-2 pitch. And another foul ball.
Good job by Polonia because he's got him looking down with the splitter, and then he's throwing the high fastball. And he's able to get back up and get a foul ball. Remember, the pitch before was down low, and he just barely got a piece of it. Now this is the high fastball, and he's able to fight it off and get a piece of it and stay alive.
Polonia hit .276 for the Yanks this year off the bench with 7 home runs. 2-2.
Even if the Mariners are able to win this ball game, this doesn't bode well for them in that Sasaki can't come in and just close the door. You go to Yankee Stadium and maybe you luck up and have a lead going into the late innings. It's not secure, so that makes a big difference in your confidence going into Yankee Stadium if you hold on here.
He strikes Polonia out.
Well, he gets him with a low fastball. He tried everything else. Now he comes with the low fastball, and Polonia misses it. He had fouled off splitters. He'd fouled off the high fastball, but this low fastball he can't catch up with.
So now it's up to Soho. 2 for 4. First pitch swinging. Cameron in center field. Both teams go back to New York. The Yankees leave 2 more in the ninth. They leave 15 for the game. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's the new program Ed, then the Sunday night movie starring Denzel Washington, Virtuosity. For Joe Morgan, Jim